Yeah, hello everyone. Very good afternoon. How are you? How's it going? How was your week so far? So this is already Saturday, and it's a cloudy afternoon here, at least in Bangalore. How's it going on your end? बताओ आप लोग चैट पे क्या चल रहा है? All right. So I think what we want to do in okay, it's cloudy here too. All right. Yeah. So today we have gathered to do a very interesting masterclass, right? And this is on how to transition from non-tech to tech background, right? And I would definitely have some two cents there, and that is what I want to really share with you, right? So it's not going to be any PPT or such. We are going to have a lot of interaction in this session. So I would encourage that you guys also be a bit active over yeah, chat too. So so I think before I even go ahead, no. So what I want is, let's say, what I want to do is just give you a basic idea about myself, as in what has been my personal experience, right? Why am I, let's say, suited enough to tell you and guide you if there are certain careers that you want to pursue in the tech domain. All right. So let's yeah, without any ado, let's get started. So let's go ahead and talk a bit about my personal experience first of all, right? So if you know, I am Vikas Srivastav, right? And currently I am CTO at AlmaBetter, right? If you know what a CTO means, is so someone who is looking after technology, platform, product, more or less, right? So this is what I'm doing currently, all right? And hang on, okay. So basically the journey started more or less in 2012, right? When I cleared my JEE exam, luckily, right? I got admitted into one of the prestigious IITs, which is IIT Kharagpur, and I was doing civil engineering, right? So until 2016, right? I was doing civil engineering at IIT Kharagpur, right? This is what I was doing. I didn't know, I didn't give it a lot of thought. Of course, I didn't end up becoming a civil engineer, but this is what I pretty much did during my college days, right? And I graduated in 2016. Then for let's say 15 months, right, until 2017, I was working. I got my first job at a place called American Express, right? So I was a risk analyst, right? This was my first job. It was called risk analyst, and I was at working at American Express. If you guys know, American Express is a credit card company, and they have a very strong risk analytics team, and that is where I was sort of working, right? So here the things that I was working on was primarily SAS. You wouldn't know probably, right? SQL. So there was some SQL, and of course I need to have I need to have a basic knowledge of stats and ML, right? So this was like prerequisite, right? Because we were doing some sort of modeling and analytics, and for that these ideas have to be like really clear. So this is what I was doing as my first stint at American Express as a risk analyst, right? I was not the so-called data scientist, and that's totally fine, right? But I definitely got a really good team to work together or work with, and the work was also like pretty new. This was the first time where I was able to see that okay, how this is how data science is being applied in industry, right? Because when you see it for yourself, then you develop a lot of conviction about the field itself, right? And then for so this was in Gurgaon, by the way. And then for one more, then I switched to another company called um, Global Analytics, right? And here I also, so my role was analytics scientist, right? So still not data scientist, all right? So, and this was at Global Analytics, right? So this is what I was doing. So Global Analytics is a leading company, right, involved in analytics, and it is doing analytics for some of the yeah, really big clients in UK as well, right? So this is what I was doing at Global Analytics. My skill sets as in what I was working on. So here I was working on Python. I also worked in R as well. I worked in SQL, and then basic knowledge of stats and ML. So this was pretty much required, right? So of course I'm coming from data science background, but I'll of course also give you detailed idea about how to even also think about, let's say, your software development career or software engineering career, right? So we'll talk about that. But this is what I'm just telling you about what my journey has been so far, right? Then after 2018 I moved down to Bangalore, right? And for almost 2.5 years I was working at HSBC, right, as a data scientist, right? So finally I got my coveted, let's say, designation that I wanted, data scientist, right? And this was at HSBC. I worked here for 2 years. This was primarily in Python, use SQL to some extent, and then of course we were using a lot of, let's say, ML, NLP, right? So we did a lot of, let's say, interesting work there at HSBC. We published some reports as well, which also got featured in Bloomberg as well. So we did some work, and I stayed there for like 2 years, right? So this was me before 2020, right? And in 2020 I co-founded AlmaBetter with Shivam and other co-founders, right? And so far, when we started AlmaBetter, of course I was looking after the content and I was teaching the classes, more or less. And I also teach the classes regularly. So before I even think of myself as an entrepreneur, I think of myself as an educator, right? So for the last 4 years, or more or less 4 years, uh, I am looking after the product and tech at AlmaBetter, right? I am also an educator here. I keep taking classes. I love to interact with students. I love to teach them, and this is what I pretty much do, right? So of course, uh, building the platform for, let's say, our students, for our coaches, for our, let's say, internal team, so that they can do everything that is, let's say, important and necessary, so that a smooth experience can be imparted to our students. And that is what our primary focus has been, right? So we want to really we're trying to improve their experience across areas, such as content, such as platforms, such as, let's say, support. And this is what we have been really obsessed about, relentless about, right? So this is what my journey has been so far, right? So this is what it looks like. I have spent, so now I'm this will be like, this is going to be the eighth year, right? So I'm going to complete 8 years of, let's say, graduation in a way. And I've had some good ensemble of experiences, which I feel, I think you'll also get to that in some due amount of time, right? So that was more or less about me. I don't want to, yeah, just keep on going. So let's move ahead, right? So let's, what do we want to discuss next, right? So the next thing that I want to discuss is careers in technology, right? So and what do we even, let's say, what kind of roles can you expect in the tech domain? And that is what I want to really sort of break down. Okay. So let's say I'm just looking at careers in tech, right? So a lot of people, let's say, want to transition from a non-tech background to a tech background, right? As in, they might not have done any programming previously. They might not have done any sort of coding or any sort of modeling as such, right? And that is why people have a lot of, let's say, a fear, I think, within themselves, whether will I be able to take this up, right? Because I have not done this previously. And I, of course, don't come from a tech background. I have not done it, so I don't feel confident. So how can I even do that, right? And the truth is, it's not that hard, right? So because more or less the rules or the ideas that we'll use in programming, right, they are not that difficult to even understand, right? But at least from for our relevance, right, I want to discuss those careers in tech which are like really relevant, right? There could be like a lot of, let's say, other technology roles, uh, which might not be like really useful for you, and we are not, of course, teaching that, right? For example, let's take an example of product engineer, right? So we are not, of course, doing a teaching a course on making you build, making you become, let's say, a product engineer. But primarily we focus on two domains. One is what we call as data science. So you definitely would have guessed, right? Because we were data scientists ourselves, right? And that is the domain that we definitely started with. And then the next domain is web development, or let's say software development. To some extent, this is what the other, let's say, field is, right? Who can, let's say, do what, and what is um, let's say, what is well suited for people who are, let's say, coming from non-tech background, what could be relatively easy, right? So I'll give you some very basic idea, right? So I'm not going to, of course, describe, let's say, the field itself. I'm going to do that in just a while. But the idea is, right, if you look at in data science, right? So more or less skill set wise, right? What do I even need, right? What kind of acumen do I need to have, right? So let's say in data science, I should know a bit of maths, right? Maths is important, right? Because I might need to, let's say, do some modeling, right? So that's why I would need to have some idea about, let's say, how to, let's say, even think about algorithms, or let's say I would be using probability and statistics, right? So, or even linear algebra, calculus. So an idea of mathematics is required for, let's say, being let's say, a good data scientist, right? And then another discipline that people should know is a bit of computer science, right? Very basic computer science. If you have not done computer science, that is totally fine, right? Because here we want to do more or less learn about two things that we can, let's say, do, right? So one is the idea of programming, and the other thing is the idea of algorithms, right? Algorithm. So programming may, let's say, you can pick up a particular language, for such as, let's say, Python, and you can do programming there, right? So but uh, programming is, of course, a very innate concept which comes in the field of computer science. And then the idea of algorithms, it could be, let's say, simple algorithms such as, let's say, linear regression, or maybe advanced algorithms such as, let's say, deep neural networks, or let's say some others. But the idea of programming and algorithms is important, so that you uh, you know the tools through which you can, let's say, do something really meaningful, right? That is what I think this is expected in data science. And then the third domain, right, is what we call as the business or domain knowledge, right? So let's say you're working in telecommunications industry, so you definitely, let's say, need to know a lot of, let's say, about the business model, about the business overall, what kind of processes are they following, right? So you should have good business and domain knowledge, right? So a good semblance of the three, right? If you look at this intersection, right, this is the sweet spot, and this is what we call as, let's say, data science, right? So it is an interdisciplinary field, right, which sits at the intersection of maths. So maths में क्या क्या mostly आ जाएगा? Prob and stats आ जाएगा. Okay, so prob and stats. And then you will have, let's say, calculus, right? Maybe linear algebra, right? So linear algebra क्या हो गया? So probably आपने vectors, matrices, ये सब सुना होगा. That is what we call as linear algebra. And they are like very important concept in today's age, right? So we cannot just discard them away. So overall, let's say, to be a good data scientist, you should have a good blend of, or good, let's say, understanding of all these three domains, right? So programming भी थोड़ा आना चाहिए. Python में program जो सोचा है वो कोड करना आना चाहिए. I should know how algorithms work. How can I even think about algorithms? I should know probability and statistics, because I'm always, let's say, working with data. So I might need to, let's say, do some sort of, let's say, analysis, and that is where it is going to be useful. Even, let's say, I'm doing machine learning modeling, that is where the notions of probability and statistics will also become important, right? And then, sorry, right, and then we have calculus and linear algebra. Those are again very other two important fields. Of course, you don't have to like really master these, but having a very basic idea even also will give you that initial boost that you always wanted. All right, so this is one domain, this is one, let's say, field which is like pretty popular, right? And you have like tons of roles here. We are going to definitely break all of those down. So we have something called a data analyst, right? एक डेटा एनालिस्ट सुना है, डेटा साइंटिस्ट सुना है, राइट? You might have heard about, let's say, data engineer as well, right? You might have heard about ML engineer, right? Recently there is such a craze for AI engineer, right? So there's so many, let's say, different roles within data science, and we'll try to, of course, break down these roles and see what do they even require. Okay, so this is one, let's say, very hot tech domain, which is currently employing, let's say, millions of people around the globe, and the field itself is like pretty fascinating, right? All right, so the next thing, next career path, I think, to a lot of other people, right? So so here, if you're thinking about getting into data science, right, you need to, let's say, you could be, let's say, a relatively average programmer. You don't have to be like really a very sought after programmer. If you are, let's say, good at programming, not, let's say, very good, but if you have good domain knowledge, right, and if you have good control over maths, then data science is what you should definitely pursue, right? But let's say, even within data science, you are very engineering focused, you want to do a lot of heavy programming, you don't want to, let's say, do some maths or maybe, let's say, a lot of business. So maybe then in that case, data engineer or ML engineer would be a relatively better, let's say, path or roadmap for you. Okay, but let's say you are scared of maths, right? You don't want to, let's say, do maths, but you enjoy programming a lot, right? You really want to kindle that engineer inside you, and this is where this domain called web development sort of becomes important, right? So web development is one of the fields in a bigger branch called software development, right? And if you think about software, right, they are all around us. What is actually a software? Software is essentially let's say, a bunch of programs, right, which, let's say, fulfill a major, or let's say, which help us do some particular task, or it helps us solve certain problem. For example, a video editor software, right, helps us edit videos, right? Maybe, let's say, there is another software through which we can make PowerPoint slides, right? So that is a software. Maybe, let's say, airlines are using another class of software, which is running on the airplanes, right? Or maybe, let's say, the big data centers or big supercomputers, right, they might require relatively specialized software to run on their machines, right? My mobile phone requires some software, right? So like an operating system, right? Operating system is a software through which I can, let's say, interact with the hardware, and then have my computer do some of the work, right? What is third requirement? So मैंने बताया business और domain knowledge, right? इसको अच्छे से लिख देते हैं. So domain knowledge, okay? So domain knowledge. All right. So वेब डेवलपमेंट में क्या होता है, राइट? क्या क्या चीजें हमें करनी है, एंड क्यों वेब डेवलपमेंट, राइट? सो आई वाज टॉकिंग अबाउट सॉफ्टवेयर, राइट? एंड सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलपमेंट इज अ वेरी बिग फील्ड इन itself, right? Because if you look at the world, right, around ourselves, right, we we are more or less surrounded by machines and computers everywhere around us, right? So I have a smartwatch, I have a smartphone, I have a smart, let's say, laptop, I have an iPad, I have a smart TV, I have a smart fridge, I have, let's say, a smart meter in my society. Maybe there is a very advanced airplane who is, let's say, running 95% on autopilot, right? There is an ATM which is running on, let's say, on these specialized software. So the world needs software, right? Because what they have enabled us to do is unlock this world of computations, right? इसलिए computers इतने popular हो गए, because we could, let's say, through some, let's say, set of instructions, that is what we call as software, I can have hardware do certain things, and we are able to, let's say, do something, right? So for example, I want to build graphics, right, for, let's say, some simulation. Hang on. Right. So, for example, let's say I want to build heavy graphics for, let's say, let's say, um, a game that I want to play on my, let's say, Xbox, right? So, That would require, let's say, a lot of, let's say, idea of software, and how do we even, let's say, display those graphics. We update those graphics like in almost split seconds, which is almost, let's say, invisible to the eye, but it helps us give that kind of immersive experience that game is supposed to build. Okay, so now there is a special type of softwares, right, which a lot of, let's say, developers think about, right, and we call them web developers. So they more or less think about building softwares or applications which run on web, right? So if you know web, what do I even mean by web? So web is essentially the internet, right? अगर आप देखो, so web is essentially the internet, or the internet is essentially a set of devices interconnected to each other, right? So think about, let's say, billions of computers connected to each other, and they're talking, right? So some servers are, let's say, sending files requested by some other, let's say, computers, right? So for example, I'm, let's say, scrolling Instagram on mobile phone. So my mobile phone is the computer, it is connected to the internet, it is requesting for, let's say, some real videos, let's say, from Instagram, right? So these real videos, they would be present on somewhere in in Instagram servers, and they're sent over the internet. That data is sent over the internet to my device, and I'm able to see the reel which I wanted to, right? So web applications are some specialized softwares, right, which run on, let's say, which run on web browsers, more or less. Okay, so यहाँ पे क्या क्या चाहिए आप लोगों को, राइट? So one good idea is, one good skill that a web developer should know is to know how to build the front end, right? Front end कैसे काम करते हैं, right? Because let's say if I open a browser and I open any web page, right, I see something in front of my eyes, right? There's nothing which is sort of very opaque, so I know what I'm seeing. So front end is important because this is how we even build a web page, right? So if you think about, let's say, we have gathered here on this Airmeet platform. So this is a web application, right? You are seeing me on your screen, right? So whatever that you are seeing on your screen, you are doing something there, that is part of the front end, right? So front end is more or less what we are seeing, and that is more or less enabled by HTML, right? CSS, right? JavaScript, right? And then, let's say, there would be some uh, uh, good, let's say, front end frameworks like React or Next, right? But this is what front end means, right? How to build the layout, or the application, as in what is my user going to see. That is what we refer to as front end, more or less, right? And then, and that is not, of course, the end of the story, right? There is another thing that my web developer should know, and that is the idea of backend, right? Because front end might be clean, right? Front end might look like straightforward, but there's a lot of things which sort of runs on the back end, right? So think about yourself, let's say, going to have a lunch at a particular restaurant, right? You look at the restaurant, right? It looks like pretty glossy. It's Let's say the entrance is good, the tables are good, right? You find a particular, let's say, table, right? That means you go to a web page, and you more or less, you're looking at the contents of it, right? And you're trying to now get details, or let's say, get you want to order some food, more or less, right? So you're sitting at that table. So now, of course, you have access to the menu, you can place the order, some waiters will also come and bring you your food. But what is happening inside the kitchen, right? That is where most of the important work is happening, right? Because you as a consumer is oblivious to the things which are happening in back end, right, under the hood, right? And there's a lot of effort that needs to be built, right, in back end, so that we can sort of really understand how do we design stuff, so that we can, let's say, have services running in back end, so that you can get the food, that means I can get the content which I actually requested for. So in backend, you will be building a lot of, let's say, services, right? You will need to have understanding of databases, right? You'll need to have understanding of APIs. Okay. and you'll need to have an idea of, let's say, how to, let's say, run service or deploy code, how to manage code. So of course front end developers also need to think about, right? Because at the core they're also writing some code. But so front end is what you are more or less seeing and how you're interacting with any web application, and then the backend is the service which is helping you, enabling you, let's say, interact with the application, right? Because let's say if you submit some detail, right, on let's say on a web application, the backend service will more or less uh, capture or gauge that activity. It will, let's say, maybe do something so that you are getting all the updated information, right? There's no information which is stale, and that is what backend will sort of play an important role for. Yeah, sorry guys. I think bit running through a bit of cold, I guess. All right. So front end, back end, ho gaya, and then there are a lot of, let's say, auxiliary things, right? That you should also understand as a web developer. For example, कि ऐसा समझो, let's say how to even, let's say how a team can work together, let's say on a particular let's say particular project, right? So there you will need to see how to, let's say, how you can, let's say, write code and manage code, right? So code management ho gaya more or less, right? So that is where the knowledge of version control, git, github, ये important है. तो ये आपको थोड़ा समझ में आना चाहिए कि how, let's say, a group of people together can maintain a, let's say, a repository of code where where you are also making, let's say, seamless changes, and everyone more or less is happy, right? So no one is having any complaints. So how do you manage code? That is an important, let's say, idea to understand from the perspective of a software developer or a web developer, right? Then some knowledge of, let's say, cloud DevOps, right? This is something that I feel that is very important in today's world, right? So they're like very prominent cloud players like AWS, Azure, right? Google Cloud Platform or GCP, right? And DevOps is short for development operations, right? So you'd want to, let's say, have some CI/CD pipeline. You would want to maybe have your code run somewhere, right? Because your code is going to either run on your, let's say, computer, or maybe on someone else's computer, right? So where is your code going to run, right? Is it running, let's say, optimally, right? Is it not requiring a lot of less expenditure, right? So there's a lot of things that you can think about. So in cloud DevOps you can have an idea of, let's say, CI/CD pipeline. Then maybe you are also thinking about, let's say, allocation of resources. You're trying to, let's say, optimize your infrastructural spend. So you're seeing what we can do. Cloud, the idea was important है because there are like tons of like very useful services these cloud providers provide us. For example, AWS may, or Amazon Web Services, they provide something called EC2, which is just like, let's say, a computer where I can have some code running, right? They they also provide something called, let's say, Lambda, where they call it serverless, and it's very easy to sort of, let's say, have my code running via something called a Lambda function. Then there is a service called S3, where which provides a good place to store a lot of, let's say, files and data, right? So S3 stands for simple storage service. Then there are a lot of, let's say, email related service. There are a lot of, let's say, logging related services like CloudWatch, right? So CloudWatch is very useful services where you would want to have, let's say, logging and monitoring, so you can figure out what is going wrong, let's say, if something breaks down. Then there is an idea of, let's say, CDN, which is, let's say, CloudFront in case of AWS, so that how can we, let's say, serve content fast. So there are like tons of services which these cloud providers provide. You don't have to, let's say, know all of them, but with time I think you will sort of get acquainted with, okay, for these kind of uh, requirements or these kind of problems I can use these. But overall, this is what web development as a field more or less requires you, right? So you should have good understanding of front end, back end, and then auxiliary understanding of, let's say, code management, cloud DevOps, and there could be, let's say, some bit of practical software engineering, right? So how to, let's say, build scalable apps. So these are the kind of things that a web developer should do, right? So these are two primary domains. One is data science and the other is web development, right? Web development wouldn't require you to know, let's say, good maths, and they wouldn't even require you to know like really good business knowledge, but they would definitely require you to have sound understanding of programming, coding and computer science. Okay, वहीं डेटा साइंस में प्रोग्रामिंग बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं चाहिए, कुछ ही लेवल तक चाहिए, बट यू शुड हैव लेट्स से relatively good maths, and then you should have good business knowledge, right? Because that is when you can actually do the maximum contribution, right? Because if you know maths and you know CS, right, or let's say you know how to write programs, but you don't know the business or the domain, then how are you won't be able to even think about which problems are the best to solve, right? So before even solving any problem, let's say anyone should really think about what is the problem that I need to solve. Okay, that's the most important question that, let's say, a data scientist at least would need to answer, right? So forget about how to even solve a problem, right? What's the most important problem that the business wants me to solve, right? Because they've hired me, let's say, thinking and keeping certain things in mind, so I have to do justification there. So I need to really think about what are the top three problems, and then I will, once identified, then I will try to go ahead and see how we can then solve that particular identified problem. Okay, so but these are, let's say, your careers in tech. Let's move ahead. So what else do we want to discuss? So now I want to talk about the roadmaps, right? So roadmap क्या होगा, more or less. So roadmap एक quickly discuss कर लेते हैं, right? So let's discuss the roadmap. So data science का roadmap आप देखो, straight forward रहेगा, मैंने आपको just बताया है. And एक second, let me just also right, and यहाँ पे web development लिख देता हूँ. सो डेटा साइंस में हाउ डू वी इवन गेट स्टार्टेड? सो सबसे पहले तो आप पाइथन कर लो, राइट? सो लर्न पाइथन. दिस इज द फर्स्ट थिंग दैट यू नीड टू डू. You don't have to become like a really proficient Python programmer, but you should know like really good basics of Python. You should have sound understanding of the fundamentals. So Python programming आपको आना चाहिए, right? So if someone is scared of mathematics or weak in mathematics, they should avoid pursuing a career in data science. So see, even within data science, Himanshu, there are like certain rules where it's not mathematics heavy, right? For example, think about the role of data engineer, right? So data engineers aren't expected to know like really good maths, but they should have good, let's say, engineering knowledge, okay? Or even think about data analyst, right? They should not know like really good maths, but if they know like basic analytics, they can do that. So then they are, let's say, well fit for their job. Are you getting my point? So if you want to really become a core ML scientist or data scientist, then having a good knowledge of mathematics is required. Are you getting my point? So, if you're not, let's say, confident in mathematics, you can still pursue a career in data science, right? So you can think about becoming a data engineer or an ML engineer, right? But and that is what you can, yeah, focus on. सो आप देखो पाइथन आप सीख सकते हो, राइट? सो सो पाइथन सीख लो, एंड देन लर्न data analysis in Python, right? So learn data analysis in Python. So for example, you can learn how to use libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib. So these to do, let's say, rigorous data analysis in Python, right? Uh, Third is you can build a good understanding of, let's say, SQL, right? And more or less relational databases, right? Because most of the time, if you're working on data, you need to have data, right? And SQL is, let's say, that language through which you can query your data, which could be stored somewhere on, let's say, on some servers of your enterprise. The fourth thing that you should learn is basically have good understanding of some common data visualization tools, right? So you should be able to portray or build a story, right? And you should be able to, let's say, visualize data through a story format. And this is where, let's say, you should know good amount of Excel, let's say Tableau or even Power BI, right? So these are the tools which would be expected from you, right? That you should know these. फिफ्थ इज बेसिकली, ऐसा समझो कि अप्लाइड मैथमेटिक्स, राइट? सो अप्लाइड मैथ्स, तो अप्लाइड मैथ्स में क्या क्या आ जाएगा? सो वेरी बेसिक ऑफ लेट्स से कैलकुलस, वेरी बेसिक लीनियर अलजेब्रा मैंने आपको बोला, एंड देन मोस्टली इट इज अबाउट probability एंड स्टैटिस्टिक्स. Okay, so probability and statistics. Okay, so this is the applied math that I was also in fact talking about earlier. And then and then the last thing is basically machine learning, right? So machine learning. All right, so these are, like, let's say, the foundational things that you should know if you're trying to become, let's say, data science professional, right? But let's say the other roles, such as, let's say, data engineer, would require you to also build understanding of data engineering. Okay, so which I've not highlighted here, but this is something advanced which you can explore on your own, right? So but let's say there's a field called ML operations, or so in short it's called ML ops. And an ML engineer should know a good amount of ML ops, right? So what are those? Maybe we'll try to, let's say, uh, discuss about those. But these are the skills that you will need to get started as a data science professional, right? What I'm discussing today is not trying to make you like really expert level ML scientist, but I'm getting an idea that you want to transition your career from non-tech background to a tech background. And what is the bare minimum that you can start with, so that you can get into this domain, right? So these are the things that I feel that you should know in data science. In web development, I think this is what I would feel that you should start with, let's say, HTML. Hang on, kahan gaya? Huh. Wait a second. Okay. So HTML आना चाहिए आपको, which is short for hypertext markup language. HTML is the format for, let's say, for building any web page. Then you should know a good amount of CSS. CSS is how you make your web pages beautiful. And then you should know, let's say, a good amount of JavaScript, right? So JavaScript is the language of the web, right? Just like how Python is the language for doing machine learning, right? So JavaScript is the language in which most of the web applications are written. um, you should have then good understanding of managing your code, like Git ka idea hona chahiye, GitHub ka idea hona chahiye, right? So Git is the uh, let's say let's say the protocol in a way, or the idea through which we can do something called version control, right? So how can I manage, let's say, various versions of my code base? And then GitHub is a tool or a platform built on top of it, right? Then fourth may you can, let's say, learn about certain front end frameworks like Tailwind CSS पढ़ सकते हो, right? And then you can learn React. You can also learn, let's say, Next, right? So these are some front end frameworks that you can familiarize yourselves with. Okay, फिर बैकएंड में क्या होगा? सो बैकएंड में आई थिंक सो व्हाट वी आर आल्सो टीचिंग इज नोड जेएस. So node and express, this is how you're going to, let's say, write your APIs, your, let's say, backend services all in node. Okay, and and you'll also need a good understanding of some database. So here, let's say, postgres का आपको idea होना चाहिए, postgres. Okay, let's say, so you should have good understanding of databases overall, right? Because as, let's say, a web developer, or maybe as a backend developer, you would be required to, let's say, design or build a database. So these things are important, right? How information can be stored for, let's say, for building a particular feature, or something like that, right? Then you can, let's say, you can have good understanding of APIs, which you'll definitely be writing when you're learning Node and Express. कुछ चीजें हो जाएंगी ऑथेंटिकेशन के अराउंड. सो हाउ टू इवन बिल्ड ऑथेंटिकेशन लेयर, हाउ टू ऐड ऑथेंटिकेशन टू योर एप्स, राइट? हाउ टू बिल्ड ऑथेंटिकेशन सर्विसेज, क्या यूज कर सकते हैं. सो ऑल ऑफ दैट you can learn. And then you should have good understanding of, let's say, I would say, terminals का अच्छा आइडिया होना चाहिए. टर्मिनल्स पे कैसे काम कर सकते हो, मोर लेस लिनक्स ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम का भी एक अच्छा आइडिया होना चाहिए. This is what I feel that you should know. Okay, and then I talked about, let's say, cloud services, right? So cloud services में आप देख लो AWS के बहुत सारे services है, you should know how to do that. And then probably after this we can let's say do some a bit of, let's say, DevOps. So 10th में मैं लिख देता हूँ DevOps. This is where, let's say, you can think about, let's say, how to build your CI/CD pipeline, monitoring कैसे कर सकते हैं, how to, let's say, build logging infrastructure, right? So there could be a lot of things that you would need. Okay, all right. So these are the skills through which, if once we understand, or once we master these skills, right, we'll be able to smoothly transition into a tech role. And depending on your acumen, you can choose whatever that, let's say, suits you well, right? So if you want to do a bit of, let's say, modeling, you are, let's say, you are really connected to the business, you are solving for the business. And so I would say in that case data science is a good choice. But let's say you are very interested in building, you want to, let's say, do a lot of, let's say, programming, you love doing it. So I think web development would be a better career path for you, right? So now let's try to understand the job roles and skills required, right? So I think ये चीज बता ही देते हैं क्या है. Okay, एक second. All right. हाँ. Okay, cool. सो अभी रोल्स ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, अगर मैं डेटा साइंस में लूँ, राइट, इफ आई टॉक अबाउट डेटा साइंस, सो बहुत सारे रोल्स आप देख सकते हो, राइट? सो जैसे मान लो कि डेटा एनालिस्ट है, राइट? सो डेटा एनालिस्ट को क्या क्या चीजें चाहिए रहेंगी, क्या क्या करते हैं वो? सो दे डू सम एनालिटिक्स, राइट, और आप एनालिसिस भी बोल सकते हो मोर और लेस. दे आर डूइंग सम सॉर्ट ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग, ठीक है? रिपोर्टिंग कर रहे हैं, डैशबोर्डिंग कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो डैशबोर्ड्स बना रहे हैं, राइट? maybe Power BI, Tableau, ये सब में they are also doing a bit of, let's say, statistical modeling, right? So statistical modeling भी कर रहे हैं वो लोग, right? So this is what, let's say, a data analyst more or less does. Okay, this is what they do, right? Now let's talk about data scientist. ओके, डेटा साइंटिस्ट क्या कर रहे हैं? सो वो भी मोरलेस जो डेटा एनालिस्ट कर रहा है वो सब तो कर ही रहे हैं, एनालिटिक्स एंड रिपोर्टिंग. सो प्लस, सो व्हाटएवर दे डू, दे आर आल्सो डूइंग, लेट्स से, एमएल मॉडलिंग कर रहे हैं, दे आर डूइंग मशीन लर्निंग मॉडलिंग, दे आर, लेट्स से, डिप्लॉइंग एमएल मॉडल्स इन प्रोडक्शन. So they are deploying ML models, right? They're also doing some sort of, let's say, statistical modeling again, right? So ये हो गया मेरा data scientist, right? Now let's think about data engineers, right? What do they do? So data engineers क्या कर रहे हैं? So data engineers are not doing that analytics. They are not even doing ML modeling or statistical modeling. उनका purpose different है. They have a different reason to exist in the world. So they build something called data pipelines, right? सो डेटा पाइपलाइंस बिल्ड कर रहे होते हैं, राइट? सो डेटा लेक सेटअप कर रहे होते हैं, विच इज वेयर यू आर गेटिंग ऑल योर रॉ डेटा. देन दे वुड बी, लेट्स से, डूइंग सम, let's say, aggregation operation, some transformation, and then sending this to what we call as a data warehouse, which can then be consumed by, let's say, your analytics team, or let's say, or even by the end consumer, right? So they are doing all, let's say, they are taking care of all this data pipeline, right? So once the data is generated, it has to go to a data lake. That is where all your raw data from different processes will be gathered, right? Because look at any enterprise, the information is not, let's say, stored in a single, let's say, file or table. It is more or less scattered across, let's say, like across tables or across databases. So that is why we need a good data lake. That is where we can have all our raw data, so we are not losing anything. And then we can do certain operations transformation on this raw data, and then have, let's say, some meaning, some rich data posed into something called a data warehouse. Okay, then I talked about an ML engineer, right? What are they doing, right? So basically, they are primarily responsible for deploying ML models in production. Okay, so data scientists, मैंने लिखा कि deploy करते, but their role is not so much, let's say, involved. So they ML engineers, they are doing something called ML ops, which is short for ML operations. So they are deploying ML models, they are monitoring these, right? So how they are performing, and then they are managing more or less all these models, right? So there would be some changes that might be done to the infrastructure on which they are deployed. So ML engineers are basically looking at all the infrastructure. Okay, all right. So now if I talk about, let's say, if I talk about web development में similarly क्या हो जाएगा. So web development में भी multiple roles है, right? So अगर आप देखो front end developer है, right? So there is someone called front end developer, right? So they're required for, they build front ends more or less, right? So जो आपको वेब एप्लीकेशन में दिख रहा है, फ्रंट एंड इंटरफेस दिख रहा है, तो वो सारी चीजें ये बना रहे हैं, राइट? एंड अगर बैक एंड डेवलपर आप देखो अगेन, राइट, जो बैक एंड डेवलपर है, राइट, सो सो दे आर बिल्डिंग बैक एंड सर्विसेज, सो दे आर बिल्डिंग बैक एंड सर्विसेज, ठीक है. They are building, let's say, databases, right? They are building, let's say, APIs. They are, let's say, hosting your app somewhere on some infrastructure, right? So but this is what backend developers do, right? So they really obsess about the things which needs to be done in the backend, right? That is of course not very privy to the front end. And then we have, let's say, someone called a full stack developer. So full stack developer is someone who knows, let's say, so they know like 70% front end, and they also know like 70% back end, right? Something like this, right? Of course, we can really argue here what is 100%, but a full stack developer is supposed to know both the technologies in detail, right? A front end developer would specialize in front end. They would know good HTML, they would know good CSS, they would know good JavaScript, React, Next, and then they would know a lot of other things which are very important from front end perspective. Similarly, with backend, they will know about important stuff in backend. A full stack developer needs to have a healthy balance, a healthy knowledge of both the front end and back end technologies. All right. So this is what web development more or less. And then of course you can have, let's say, cloud engineer or cloud DevOps. So DevOps में आपको पता ही है. So it is more about, let's say, code कैसे manage कर रहे, infrastructure कैसे manage कर रहे, how are things running. So those come under what we call as cloud DevOps. So MERN is, this is what, so MERN अगर आप देखो, right, you have heard of, let's say, MERN stack, right? So MERN is basically Mongo Express React Node, right? So I already talked about React, right? That is a front end framework. I already talked about Node and Express, right? I already talked about Node and Express, right? These are your backend technologies, right? अगर आप देखो यहाँ पे, so I already talked about Node and Express, right? So Node, Express हो गया, React हो गया. The only thing the MERN has an extra, which is Mongo, right? So, but of course, I've also written that, right? So Postgres is, of course, it's a relational database. So that is what I think you can get started with, and then maybe learn Mongo later. Okay, so Mongo is no SQL database. All right. So MERN कुछ अलग नहीं है. MERN is the same thing. Kirti, are you getting my point? Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So I think we now know a few things. All right. Uh, hang on. So अभी क्या और डिस्कस करना है देख लेते हैं. सो अब इंटरव्यूज कैसे नेल वेल करे, राइट? हाउ टू नेल इंटरव्यूज, राइट? ये कैसे कर सकते हैं? ठीक है, इंटरव्यूज कैसे सही करे. वेट अ सेकंड. राइट। सो इंटरव्यूज में कैसे क्वेश्चंस आप एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हो, राइट? सो लेट्स ट्राई टू या डिस्कस दैट। ओके, सो इंटरव्यूज के लिए आपको क्या करना, हाउ टू नेल इंटरव्यूज, राइट? सो ऑफ कोर्स सबसे पहले तो हमें वी हैव टू रियली अपस्किल आवरसेल्व्स, राइट? द फर्स्ट स्टेप इज really upskill ourselves, right? This is like bare minimum, right? Because no one is going to come and give you a job and give you, let's say, offer letter in a plate, right? कोई आके ऐसे लंगर में नहीं आपको ऑफर लेटर दे के जाएगा, राइट? सो द फर्स्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज we really want to upskill ourselves and we don't have to live in delusion, right? हमें समझना पड़ेगा कि क्या हमें सीखना है, कैसे सीखना है. You already know the roadmap, so this is how you want to really progress, right? So upskilling बहुत जरूरी है. जो भी टेक्नोलॉजीज आपको जो सीखना है वो आप सीख लो, राइट? वो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट है, राइट? उसके बाद यू शुड हैव लेट्स से हेल्दी प्रोफाइल, राइट? एक हेल्दी प्रोफाइल का मतलब क्या हुआ? सो एक so you should not only be learning, right, but you should also be, let's say, doing something for the world, right? So आप GitHub पे कुछ contributions करते रहो, right? Do contributions in open source, right? आप basically YouTube channel बनाओ ना. YouTube channel पे let's say you make videos on the subjects that you know, right? And पढ़ाओ लोगों को. Maybe you can also do medium blogging, or let's say you can write blogs on Substack as well. Substack पे बना सकते हो अपना, right? You can become, let's say, teach a world on Twitter पे भी पढ़ा सकते हो आप. So but the point is you need to build a healthy profile, right? And you have to think that, hey, if you know something, it's your responsibility to also teach the world out there, right? So you have to become like really active in terms of also communicating what you know. And that I feel a lot of people really let's say um, overlook, right? So they don't care about this. But what I feel that this is probably one of the most important steps that you can take in your life whenever you're learning anything, right? So try to teach it out to the world, and you'll see that you actually know it much better. Okay. So you need to have a really healthy profile. And then of course, so once let's say you have a healthy profile, and this will also of course include your resume, right? So resume आपके सही होने चाहिए. GitHub पे you should have like good projects. Ideally you should also have your own personal website. आज के डेट में you can build your personal website, let's say, using any no code platform. You can build it on Webflow, or maybe you can use Notion, or you can use, let's say, Framer. But build your own website, right? Show to the world that you want to do something, right? You are not just sitting idle, but you have that urgency inside you, right? So always try to do this, right? And then इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस के पैटर्न्स हमें देखने पड़ेंगे, राइट? समझना पड़ेगा. वी हैव टू रियली अंडरस्टैंड and get into the shoes of the interviewer, right? So if there is an interviewer, right, they are trying to hire someone, right, they're interviewing you. So what are the kind of things that they are expecting from, let's say, from the person who is applying for a particular open role? So you have to do some good psychoanalysis of what does the interviewer need, or what are they even planning to discover in myself. So वैसे करके आपको सोचना पड़ेगा. But of course, if you let's say think about, let's say, generic questions which I have asked to employees when I was hiring, right? So I ask, let's say, a lot of, let's say, different set of questions. For example, if I'm hiring for, let's say, data analyst, I might ask them, let's say, hey, why don't you solve this problem in Python? Or maybe if I'm hiring a web developer, I can give them, hey, how can we solve this in JavaScript? And then maybe let's say add some complex layer or complexity on front end, and ask them, let's say, can we use some, let's say, React hooks here, and something like that. Then maybe, let's say, for a web developer, I can ask them, what is the difference between, let's say, HTTP versus HTTPS? तो क्या difference है, right? What is SSL, for example, right? So these are uh, technologies or ideas in networking, and these are like also important for a front end developer. A very useful or important question that I feel is, do they know the difference between server side rendering and static side generation, right? How can one improve APIs, right? How can one design databases, right? What is serverless architecture, right? How do we, let's say, resolve merge conflicts in Git, right? How do we manage state in React, right? So there are like a lot of, let's say, interesting questions that one can probe, let's say, around web development. For data science, there could be, let's say, good amount of questions on statistics, on Python, right? So for example, what's the difference between filter and map function in Python, right? Or let's say how let's say there could be a lot of, let's say, interesting questions on probability theory or on statistics, right? How can we perform a B testing? How can we design some experiment? Or maybe what is linear regression, right? Why is it useful, right? Why is it not useful, right? What are some different modeling techniques that, let's say, a data scientist can use for the, let's say, for classification problems? So there are like wide range of questions that you can expect to be asked in interviews. These will primarily revolve around the concepts that we have discussed earlier, right? Which are primarily around these, right? So ये सारे concepts पता है इसी के around होंगे questions. There could be something that might look like out of syllabus in a way, but चीजें वही रहेंगी, right? कोई ऐसा कुछ अलग नहीं पूछा जाएगा, right? And of course there are so many things that one can actually expect to learn in either of these two fields, right? And if you are looking to get into a fresher role, you definitely wouldn't be asked a lot of, let's say, very, let's say, tough questions, right? But how you're going to nail your interviews, you have to build pele you have to build a really solid understanding of the concepts. That is the first step. That is the most difficult step. You have to, let's say, given your time, commit your time, invest in attending the classes, in completing the assessments, right? Then you need to build work on yourself, build a healthy profile, so that the world knows you, you're out there, right? You are building a brand for yourself. And then of course you can do a lot of, let's say, good interview questions preparation from, let's say, some open platform, or in fact you can use, let's say, Chat GPT or Claude, right? So Chat GPT, Claude, ये सब use करके you can, let's say, do some mock practice of interview questions, and that is how you can sort of prepare for the interviews, right? So yahi hai, more or less. And I think so with that, we are ready to do the Q&A. And I would yeah, request, hang on, Shubham, right? So I would request Shubham to maybe take over and walk the students, yeah, through the platform of AlmaBetter, and give them idea about the curriculum and all. All right. Okay. So if you have a question, you can put in the Q&A section, and we will discuss that towards the end. So meanwhile, I would request Shubham Khare, if you're here, you can go ahead and yeah, present.
Yes, thank you so much for introducing me.
Right.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Good afternoon. I hope everything was good and it was quite clear to everyone, right? Is it so? Yes, Santu, you have a question. Please ask me. And Vikas is also here, so please ask any question if you have in the chat box. So my name is Shubham, and I am a senior counselor here at AlmaBetter. I'll be guiding you towards the dashboard, towards the course structure, the curriculum part, and everything. So yeah, Santu, what was your question? Please ask. Okay, so बाकी सब लोग भी हैं ना session में. If you are in the session, please give me some thumbs up reaction so that I can know that you are in the session. Cool, great. Okay, only two, three people are there in the session, right? It means that. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, guys. So, anything related to the session till here, like what was your query and any question, any doubt, please write in the chat box, and then we'll be moving ahead with the next part of the session, where I'll be guiding you that how AlmaBetters help you, how AlmaBetter helps you to move into the tech domain. Okay, with the placement guarantee. We'll be moving ahead with that part, but before that, I want to know your queries if you have any. Cool, 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 cool. So everyone is quite active. Great. Shows what is the salary structure of data scientist from fresher to mid to senior. Okay, so data scientist, Santu, is not a position which you can grab easily at a fresher level. So at a fresher level, if we talk about the job roles that are like data analyst, business analyst, or any analyst role, then with an experience of about 6 months or 1 year and knowing the advanced technology like deep learning, NLP programming, and advanced machine learning knowledge, you can move ahead and you can move as a data scientist. Okay. So if we talk about the entry level positions, the salary structure or the packages are around 8 lakh to 10 lakh per annum for the freshers also, and it doesn't matter which field you are belonging to. ठीक है, सो मेरे कई सारे कैंडिडेट्स हैं लाइक बीए बीकॉम बीएससी भी उन्होंने किया है, देन टू दे आर वर्किंग इन डेटा साइंस domain as a data analyst or business analyst or finance analyst, and they got their first package as 9 lakh or 10 lakh per annum. So it completely depends on your skill set. So अगर आप इस tech domain में enter करना चाहते हैं, you have to build up yourself, you have to upskill yourself, and then you can enter. If you talk about the senior positions like the data scientist position or data engineer position, then it comes like एक average package अगर हम देखेंगे तो about 20 lakh per annum हो सकता है. But for that, again, you have to upskill yourself. You have to be very much competent according to the industry. Then you can get that. Okay, Santu, is it clear? So Pratyush is asking, is there a role in industry available that combines data collection with data analysis? There are some job roles like data miners are there, data miners are there, majorly data engineers. So data engineers और data miners का role होता है. इसमें MIS की एक role होता है. MIS जो पहले बोला जाता था. MIS was like to manage the data using Excel. पहले MI से काम करते थे, but nowadays the people belonging to data science field also do that work. So दो roles होते हैं. Okay, so ड्रोन डेटा कलेक्शन डेटा मैनेजमेंट का वर्क जो मेजरली करते हैं वो डेटा इंजीनियर्स डेटा माइनर्स एंड MIS करते हैं मेजर. ओके प्रत्युष. Okay, so Kriti is having a question. Sir, I am just learning to web development on AlmaBetter. I am non-IT background. I am facing some issues to write code. So how can I improve my code, my coding? Although I understand the all theory part which are studying on the platform. So Kriti, you must know that कि आपके पास में dashboard का access है. Dashboard में practice वाला part है, right? So I would recommend you to like as you are attending the live classes. So along with that, you should also practice from the pre-recorded content from the learn section. ओके, तो लर्न सेक्शन से आप उस कंटेंट को दोबारा से देखिए, प्लस वहां से एडिशनल प्रैक्टिस करेंगे तो जो आपका एक गैप आ रहा है ना, लाइक टू प्रैक्टिकली इंप्लीमेंट द कोड्स, वो क्लियर होने के चांसेस बढ़ जाएंगे. प्लस वहां पे जो भी डाउट आता है रियल टाइम आप उसको हेल्प सपोर्ट से कनेक्ट करके वहां से डाउट क्लैरिटी लेंगे. सो विद इन 10-15 डेज ये जो आपका एक छोटा सा गैप है, ठीक है, वो दूर हो जाए. So you need not to worry much about it. जस्ट एक थोड़ा सा हमें एफर्ट और डालना है कि हमें उन टॉपिक्स को जो हमारा थ्योरी पार्ट क्लियर है उसको दोबारा से लर्न सेक्शन से एक बार देख के प्रैक्टिस करना है, एंड उसमें जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स आ रही है वो हमें हेल्प सेक्शन से क्लियर करना है. इट विल गेट क्लियर. ओके कृति. Guys, it is not necessary that every time you write thank you or everyone, but अगर आप लोगों को क्लियर है चीजें, so you can at least give me a thumbs up reaction. I will understand that you understood it. ठीक है. Okay guys, so shall we move ahead? Okay, so Afroz, I have completed my post graduation in 2022. Is this gonna affect my placement? No, Afroz. Like let's understand the whole structure first, कि अगर हम इंडस्ट्री की बात करें, लाइक what is the requirement of this industry. So requirement is of a technical skill first. You have to build up yourself according to the industry. ठीक है, apart from the field which you belong to, or from which background you belong to, आपका क्या वर्किंग स्टेटस है, उससे भी फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. ओके, सो द थिंग विच मैटर्स इज योर स्किल सेट एट मोस्ट. ठीक है, सो you can develop yourself, you can upskill yourself, and like there are so many examples where the people were having like 6 years 7 years gap, then too they developed their skills, and now they are working in data science domain or web development domain at a senior position also. No problem, Aarti. If you want to enter into data science domain or web development domain, you just need to upskill yourself and you can enter into the domain. Okay, let me show all of you some graphical presentation which will help you to understand about it. Okay, guys. So here is one of the thing, like data science field की बात है, लेकिन ये commonly web development के लिए भी follow होती है and data science के लिए भी follow होती है. दैट इज कि नॉन टेक बैकग्राउंड से टेक डोमेन में क्या डिफरेंसेस है, मतलब आने में क्या प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, क्या चीजें हैं. सो इफ यू टॉक अबाउट, एज विकास आल्सो इन्फॉर्म्ड यू, दैट व्हाट आर द like job roles available which you can enter for. तो यहाँ पे जो ग्राफ दिख रहा है, इट इज फॉर द टेक डोमेन. यू कैन सी इजीली, लाइक जिन लोगों का इंग्लिश और रीजनल लैंग्वेजेस की वजह से प्लेसमेंट होता है, दैट इज ओनली 6.5%. बट अगर स्ट्रीम की वजह से या कॉलेज की वजह से अगर आपका प्लेसमेंट हो रहा है, दैट इज अराउंड 26.1%. बट अगर आपके पास में टेक्निकल स्किल्स हैं, तो उनका परसेंटेज इज अबाउट 67%. सो दिस क्लियरली इंडिकेट्स कि अगर आप स्किल सेट्स गेन करते हैं, यू कैन एंटर इनटू द डोमेन. ओके, बिकॉज ये इंडस्ट्री अभी इतनी इतनी बूमिंग है, इतना अच्छी करियर अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं, दैट इवन द गवर्नमेंट्स आर स्पीकिंग अबाउट इट. आई डोंट नो दैट हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू सी द न्यूज, बट आप लोगों ने अगर न्यूज में ध्यान दिया होगा, so like the prime minister before taking the oath is talking about AI. It is he was talking about uh, the technology upgrades, right? There are so many countries which are investing now in India to develop the technology, and India is going to be the biggest power, biggest technological power by 2030. So they are already working on the plan of 2045. तो जिसका अगर हमें लाइक ओरिजिनल अगर हमें फेज दिखना चालू होगा, तो बाय द ईयर 2030 वी कैन सी द फेज. बट उसके लिए उन लोगों को मैन पावर की जरूरत पड़ेगी, उनके लिए लोगों की जरूरत पड़ेगी. एंड फॉर दैट, ऐसा नहीं कि आपने कॉलेज से डिग्री ले लिया तो हो गया. नो, अब कॉलेज से डिग्री लेने की बात ऐसी है कि कॉलेज से डिग्री मिल जाती है लेकिन प्लेसमेंट नहीं मिल रहा है आज के टाइम पे. कॉलेज पीपल आर सेइंग दैट कि रिसेशन चल रहा है. माय सिंपल क्वेश्चन इज टू देम, लाइक कि अगर रिसेशन चल रहा है तो इतने सारे जॉब ओपनिंग्स कहाँ से आ रहे हैं, कैसे हम लोग इतने सारे ओपनिंग्स देख पा रहे हैं. सो द डिफरेंस इज कि जो गैप है वो एजुकेशन में नहीं है. लाइक दैट इज नॉट कि आपने कॉलेज डिग्री ले लिया बस हो गया, बट आपको अपने आप को अपस्किल करना पड़ेगा, अपने आप को कॉम्पिटेंट बनाना पड़ेगा इंडस्ट्री के अकॉर्डिंग, देन यू विल बी गेटिंग द प्लेसमेंट. ओके, सो किसी भी फील्ड से आप बिलोंग करते हैं, आप ग्रेजुएट हैं, यू आर एलिजिबल टू एंटर इनटू द फील्ड ऑफ डेटा साइंस एज वेल एज वेब डेवलपमेंट. बट उसके लिए आपको अपने आप को अपस्किल करना पड़ेगा, स्किल सेट्स में प्रॉपर्ली अपने आप को ट्रेन करना पड़ेगा, एक वैलिडेटेड सर्टिफिकेशन होना चाहिए आपके पास में, देन यू कैन एंटर. Okay, so can I get guaranteed placement from AlmaBetter if I join data science course? Yeah, Aarti, like you can get definitely, but yes, वही चीज repeat करूंगा Aarti, that you have to study, you have to train yourself with this the coding languages, the algorithms and everything. If you are able to do that, definitely you can get, and I'll be showing you how you can get that placement guarantee. Okay, so Pratyush, how to prove skill set, interview, majority or projects? So Pratyush, there are different factors actually we can say. Okay, स्किल सेट्स प्रूव करने के लिए सबसे पहले आपका, अगर हम किसी भी इंटरव्यू प्रोसेस की बात करें, तो द फर्स्ट प्रोसेस इज टू शोकेस योर टैलेंट थ्रू योर रेज्यूमे. अब रेज्यूमे ऐसा होता है कि रेज्यूमे पहले पैटर्न पे जो काम करता था, दैट इज नॉट वर्किंग करेंटली. We have to build up the resume according to the industry standard, where we have to showcase our projects and the skill sets on which we have done the projects. Then हमारा प्रोफाइल सिलेक्ट होगा. प्रोफाइल सिलेक्ट होने के बाद में फिर हमें इंटरव्यू में हमारे सॉफ्ट स्किल्स के साथ साथ, बिकॉज व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि अभी कई सारे इंस्टीट्यूट्स हैं, यू ऑल नो दैट ऑनलाइन ऑफलाइन सब जगह पे अवेलेबल है, बट दे आर नेवर फोकसिंग टुवर्ड्स द placements or the industrial requirements. 90% of the institutes focus on syllabus completion, including 100% of our colleges. उनको केवल सिलेबस कंप्लीट करने से मतलब, अब आपका प्लेसमेंट होता है नहीं होता है उनको कोई लेना देना। अभी यहाँ पे क्या दिक्कत होती है कि सिलेबस कंप्लीशन पे अगर हम फोकस करेंगे तो भाई डिग्री कर लेते हैं, डिग्री के बाद में भी तो प्लेसमेंट नहीं मिल रहा है, तो गैप कहाँ पे है? सो दे आर नॉट लाइक रिलेटिंग दैट थिंग, दे जस्ट वांट टू कंप्लीट द कोर्स कि हाँ हमने पढ़ा दिया, वो आपकी जिम्मेदारी है। बट उसकी जगह पे अगर हम इंडस्ट्री ओरिएंटेड तरीके से अपने आप को प्रिपेयर करें, जहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली चीज है, पढ़ाई तो इंपॉर्टेंट है ही, लेकिन प्रैक्टिस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है अकॉर्डिंग टू द इंडस्ट्रियल रिक्वायरमेंट। अगर इंडस्ट्रियल रिक्वायरमेंट्स के अकॉर्डिंग हम अपने आप को तैयार करते हैं, सो देन वी कैन इजीली क्रैक द इंटरव्यूज। एंड वो जो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल आता है जब आप इंडस्ट्रियल लेवल प्रैक्टिस करते हो विद इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट्स, सो वो कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल आपको आगे तक लेके जाता है, एंड केवल एंटर करने के लिए नहीं प्रत्युष, इनफैक्ट फॉर द ग्रोथ एंड द प्रमोशन एंड टू फर्दर आप स्विच करोगे डिफरेंट कंपनीज में, डिफरेंट डोमेन्स में, सो उसके लिए भी आपको वो बहुत हेल्प करता है। ओके, सो दैट इज द मेजर थिंग। ठीक है गाइस, और कोई डाउट है? Okay guys, so I'm just publishing a poll, so please give your votes. How many of you are interested for the certification in full stack data science and AI program, and master's program, or certification in full stack web development? Please, can I get some opinions so that I can guide you guys more better? Okay, I got one vote for data science and AI certification. Okay, okay, cool guys. Come on, come on. There are many people in the session. There are around 18, 19 people in the session yet. बाकी लोगों को शायद कुछ काम था तो वो लोग चले गए. Okay, so guys, तीन ही वोट है यार guys. क्या कर रहे हो? मेरी एनर्जी कम हो जाएगी. Please, 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 please. Click on the poll session. Give me some votes. Okay. Okay. Cool. जल्दी करो गाइस, फिर हम लोग आगे भी बढ़ना है, फिर आप लोगों को फिर छुट्टी भी दे देनी है मुझे. Okay, so already you have invested like lot of time and it's a weekend, so I won't be involving you much, but एक guidance देना जरूरी है, उसके लिए मैं आपको गाइड करूंगा. So like I can see that majority of people are looking for the data science program. Okay. So I'll be guiding you all guys for the data science program here. Okay, Rishabh, got it. So you are already working as a data analyst in KPMG, Rishabh, right? So what are your major goals to go into data science domain? What position you are looking for, Rishabh? Okay. So जब तक ऋषभ अपना आंसर लिख रहे हैं तब तक मैं आप लोगों को डैशबोर्ड की तरफ ले चलता हूँ. उसके पहले मैं आपको कुछ चीजें बता देता हूँ. लाइक स्टिल द पीपल आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड, आई डोंट थिंक सो, बट I have some surprise for everyone here in the session, so I'll be sharing that in the end. ठीक है, so please wait in the session so that I can share the surprise with you all guys. And obviously session में रहने में आप लोगों को थोड़ा सा benefit हो सकता है, because ऐसा जरूरी नहीं है कि आप केवल AlmaBetter पे ही आप visit किया है. You are looking only at AlmaBetter. There are so many institutes online and offline available, but उसमें भी अगर हमें एक रियलिटी चेक करना है तो एटलीस्ट वी शुड नो समथिंग सो दैट वी कैन कंपेयर इजीली. ठीक है, तो इसीलिए मैं एक रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा कि आप लोग एंड तक बने रहें ताकि आपको प्रॉपर्ली डिटेल्स में एक्सप्लेन कर पाऊँ कि अगर हम किसी भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे विजिट कर रहे हैं तो हमें क्या चीजें चेक करनी है। ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम ऋषभ, नो प्रॉब्लम। Okay, Pratish, so you want to move into robotics. Great. So robotics में भी आपका machine learning AI will play a very important role, definitely. So if you go with data science, you can make a career in robotics as well. Okay, so there are two of my candidates who are actually doctors. So they are doing the data science program to create or to develop a robot which can do the surgery by itself. So they are actually studying just because of that. So yeah, definitely if your plan is to move into robotics, you can. Okay, so alma better कैसे आपको हेल्प करेगा प्लेसमेंट्स के लिए, लेट्स सी दैट। सो ये डैशबोर्ड है, डैशबोर्ड भी हम लोग देखेंगे, बट उसके पहले आपको पूरे प्रोग्राम के बारे में बता दूं कि इट इज अ प्लेसमेंट गारंटी प्रोग्राम। Okay, there are two programs for the data science and AI domain. First one is certification, second one is masters. So first we'll be discussing about the certification program and then we'll be discussing about the master's degree program. And don't worry, मैं आप लोगों को बोर नहीं करूंगा। जहाँ पे भी बोर हो रहे हो तो भाई मुझे बता देना चैट बॉक्स में। I'll be refreshing myself for you। ठीक है, बट एनर्जी पूरी बना के रखना गाइस, नहीं तो तभी मजा आएगा, नहीं तो मजा भी नहीं आएगा हम लोग डिस्कस करने में। एंड एक्चुअली आई एम हियर टू डिस्कस विद यू गाइस, ओके, नॉट टू गिव एनी स्पीच और एनीथिंग। ठीक है, सो सबसे मेन चीज है कि आप में से कई लोग यूट्यूब से भी पढ़ते होंगे। कुछ लोगों का इंटरेस्ट ऐसा लगता होगा कि कुछ लोगों की इच्छा होती होगी कि हम लोग ऑफलाइन पढ़ें, राइट? सो इज देयर एनीवन who likes to learn offline? Please write a yes if you like to learn offline. Okay, okay. सो ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट की अगर हम बात करें इस टेक डोमेन के लिए, शांतु एंड पीयूष, सो आई वुड से नो। क्यों नो? बिकॉज सी, कॉलेजेस में भी आप लोग देखते होंगे कि मेजॉरिटी ऑफ कॉलेजेस हैव द टीचर्स who have studied from that institute itself. They do not actually possess the इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सपीरियंस, इंडस्ट्री रिलेवेंट एक्सपीरियंस। अब अगर उनको खुद को ही इंडस्ट्री के नहीं बारे में नहीं पता है तो आपको कैसे पढ़ाएंगे, वो आपको कैसे बताएंगे? Similar thing happens with offline institute, majority of offline institutes, where they have the teachers who have basic knowledge about the tool sets because they are not getting any job anywhere, so they start teaching in offline institutes. Okay, just a part time, and जैसे ही उनको कोई जॉब मिलेगी ना गाइस, ट्रस्ट में आपके टीचर्स चेंज हो जाएंगे ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट। And it is a story of around 98% of the offline institutes, especially for this domain। मैं सब डोमेन्स की बात नहीं करूंगा, देयर आर डिफरेंट डोमेन्स, बट अगर हम टेक डोमेन में डेटा साइंस की स्पेशली बात करें तो अराउंड 90% इंस्टीट्यूट्स की सेम का। ठीक है, सेकेंड चीज, जब आप ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स में जाते हो, सो व्हाट हैपेंस इज कि टीचर के सामने 200-300 स्टूडेंट्स भी होते हैं कई बार। जो मेजर सिटीज, जो बड़े टीयर 1 सिटीज हैं, मेट्रो सिटीज हैं, उनमें मेजरली यही होता है कि एक साथ 100-150 स्टूडेंट्स बैठे हुए हैं। एंड वो वहां पे हमें पूछने में भी शर्म आ जाती है, कोई डाउट आता है तो। यहाँ पे तो हमें कोई स्टूडेंट्स देख नहीं रहे ना, so if you want to ask anything we can write easily in the chat box or in the question answer panel। एंड डाउट्स क्लियर होना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि अगर वो क्लियर नहीं हुए तो आपको प्रोजेक्ट्स में दिक्कत आ सकती है, आपको जो डिप्लॉयमेंट्स आप करने वाले हो उसमें दिक्कत आ सकती है। सेकेंड चीज, अब क्योंकि टीचर्स ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट में काफी चेंज होते रहते हैं, रोटेट होते रहते हैं, तो वहां पे एक स्ट्रक्चर प्रोवाइड नहीं होता। ओके, सो लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड दिस बाय एन एग्जांपल। हमें चाय बनानी है, वो चाय बनाना हम सीख रहे हैं किसी से। ठीक है, अब वहां पे कोई हमें बता रहा है कि पहले पानी को उबालना है, फिर उसमें दूध मिलाना है, उसके बाद में फिर टीचर चेंज हो गया, वो बोलेगा कि आपने गलत कर दिया, आपने गलत नहीं किया, आप एक काम करो, पहले आप दूध रख दो और फिर उसमें पानी मिलाओ एंड फिर उसमें चीनी डाल दो। एंड फिर तीसरा टीचर आएगा, फिर वो बोलेगा कि एक काम करते हैं, फिर से प्रोसेस को स्टार्ट करते हैं, फिर यहाँ से ये पढ़ते हैं। तो अगर स्ट्रक्चर ही नहीं होगा तो आपकी चाय कभी बनी नहीं पाएगी, और चाय बनेगी भी तो आप पी नहीं पाओगे, खुद भी नहीं पी। तो इसके लिए उस स्ट्रक्चर का होना जरूरी है कि अगर आप एक स्ट्रक्चर वाइज पढ़ते हो, एक ट्रैक वाइज पढ़ते हो, so you can get to that utmost thing which you are looking for. Okay, so we all have a goal कि हम क्यों इस फील्ड में एंटर करना चाहते हैं, क्यों ये चीजें सीखना चाहते हैं। वो गोल फुलफिल करने के लिए हमारे पास एक स्ट्रक्चर का होना जरूरी है। वी ऑलवेज लिसन दैट, कि हमारे टीचर्स भी बोलते हैं कि फॉलो अ टाइम टेबल। टाइम टेबल मतलब हमारा एक स्ट्रक्चर होना चाहिए हर एक चीज का। अगर हम उसको फॉलो करते हैं तो वी कैन रीच द गोल। सो वी शुड फॉलो दैट, जो कि ऑफलाइन पढ़ने में या यूट्यूब से पढ़ने में या केवल रिकॉर्डिंग से पढ़ने में हमें नहीं मिलता। ओके, सो इसके लिए एक चीज हो गया। अब ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स की अगर हम बात करें, जब तक टीचर इंस्टीट्यूट में अवेलेबल है तब तक आप उनसे डाउट्स पूछते हो, क्लियर कर सकते हो। आपको उनके लेक्चर्स की रिकॉर्डिंग्स मिलना तो नामुमकिन जैसा होता है कई सारे ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स में। तो ये सारी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, तो इसके लिए मैं आपको ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स के लिए मना करूंगा। ऑनलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स में भी अगर आप ट्रस्ट करना चाहते हो तो ऑनलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स में भी उन पे ट्रस्ट करो जो कि ट्रस्ट आपका गेन कर पा। ट्रस्ट कैसे गेन कर पाएंगे? बाय शोइंग द प्लेसमेंट्स। अगर प्लेसमेंट्स हो रहे हैं, जो कि हमारा अल्टीमेट गोल है, जहां पे हम रीच करना चाहते हैं, सो इट मींस दैट इंस्टीट्यूट इज डूइंग समथिंग गुड। एंड उसके लिए किसी पर्सन पे डिपेंड मत करो, यूट्यूब पे बिल्कुल भी रिलाई मत करो, पूरा पे बिल्कुल भी रिलाई मत करो। अगर रिलाई करना है, अगर आपको एक एक्चुअल चीजें देखनी है कि हाँ सही में प्लेसमेंट हो रहे हैं या नहीं हो रहे हैं, गो टू लिंक्डइन। जिस भी इंस्टीट्यूट का आप कंपैरिजन कर रहे हो उसके लिंक्डइन के ऑफिशियल पेज पे जाओ, वहां पे चेक करो कि जॉब पोस्ट हो रहे हैं कि नहीं हो रहे। अगर हो रहे हैं, डेफिनेटली, क्योंकि लिंक्डइन पे कोई इंस्टीट्यूट किसी भी पर्सन के बारे में झूठ नहीं लिख सकता कि हाँ ये हमारा कैंडिडेट है और हमने इसको प्लेस करवाया है। नहीं हो सकता ऐसा। इसके लिए गाइस, आप एक बार लिंक्डइन चेक करो अगर आपको कंपैरिजन करना है। ओके शांतु, ओके पीयूष, इज इट क्लियर व्हाई वी शुड नॉट ट्रस्ट ऑफलाइन इंस्टीट्यूट्स फॉर पर्टिकुलरली दिस डोमेन at least? Okay, no problem Santu. Time mismatch may happen, we have to do some adjustments. उसके लिए हमें थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है 10-15 days का। एंड एज जीतू भैया सेड इन कोटा फैक्ट्री कि 21 दिन का खेल है। तो अगर आप 21 days तक में किसी चीज को एक्चुअली फॉलो करते हो तो इट इज अ साइंटिफिक फैक्ट कि 21 days में आपकी हैबिट बन भी सकती है और बिगड़ भी सकती है। ओके, सो यू हैव टू गिव टाइम, एंड आई होप कि आप 8 hours या मैक्सिमम 10 hours की शिफ्ट में काम करते होंगे। सो वी जस्ट हैव टू गिव 2 to 3 hours पर डे। ओके, उसके लिए भी मैं आपको सॉल्यूशन बताऊंगा अभी कि कैसे आप एडजस्टमेंट कर सकते हो। एंड इफ यू कैन डू दैट एडजस्टमेंट, डेफिनेटली आपका सैलरी हाइक बहुत अच्छा होगा। आपका जो एक्सपीरियंस है, द फर्स्ट पॉइंट है कि यू आर एक्सपीरियंस। अब वो किसी भी डोमेन से हो लेकिन एक्सपीरियंस है, सो दैट कैन बी कैलकुलेटेड इन दिस इंडस्ट्री। नो प्रॉब्लम संतु। सो प्लीज कैन यू write that what is your shift timing exactly? बाकी लोग तो कंफर्टेबल है ना, इनको ऐसा तो नहीं लग रहा कि कल मैं शांत और पीयूष से बात कर रहा हूँ। बाकी लोग, आप लोग के पास में भी चैट का एक्सेस है, आपको भी अगर कोई डाउट है तो प्लीज पूछ लो गाइस। चलो, जब तक शांतु लिख रहा है, सो हम प्रोग्राम की बात करते हैं। सो इट इज अ प्लेसमेंट गारंटी प्रोग्राम। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम, मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम इज प्लेसमेंट गारंटी प्रोग्राम है। फर्स्ट वी आर डिस्कसिंग अबाउट सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम, इट इज अ प्लेसमेंट गारंटी प्रोग्राम। ओके, नो प्रॉब्लम शांतु, आई विल बी क्लियरिंग योर क्वेरी नाउ। ठीक है, सो इट इज अ सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम। सर्टिफिकेशन भी नॉर्मल सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं है, इट इज अ प्रोफेशनल सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम। अब प्रोफेशनल सर्टिफिकेशन मतलब जहां से ये वैलिडेट होता है कि हाँ सही में आपने स्किल सेट्स में काम करके ये सर्टिफिकेशन दी। ठीक है, यू हैव एक्चुअल प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री, दैट इज प्रोफेशनल सर्टिफिकेशन। सो दैट प्रोफेशनल सर्टिफिकेशन विल बी प्रोवाइडेड। एंड इसमें मेजरली जो स्ट्रक्चर हम लोग फॉलो करते हैं वो अभी आपको दिखा दूंगा मैं। इसमें प्राइमरी मोड ऑफ लर्निंग इज गोइंग टू बी लाइव एंड इंटरैक्टिव लेक्चर्स विद द इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट्स। विकास इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द टीचर, विकास ऑल्सो टीचर्स सम ऑफ द टॉपिक्स। अब आपने तो देखा ही विकास का एक्सपीरियंस क्या है। अलॉन्ग विद दैट आलोक इज ऑल्सो को फाउंडर आलोक ऑल्सो टीचर्स, उनका भी अमेरिकन एक्सप्रेस जैसी कंपनी में डेटा साइंटिस्ट जैसी पोजीशन का एक्सपीरियंस है. And there are many more teachers who have 8-9 years of work experience in the field. So जब वो लोग आपको पढ़ाएंगे एंड इस तरीके से बेसिक एकदम स्क्रैच लेवल से एडवांस लेवल तक पढ़ाएंगे, वो भी पूरे प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच के साथ में, डेफिनेटली थोड़ा टाइम लग सकता है उन लोगों को जो कि इस डोमेन से बिलोंग नहीं करते, थोड़ा सा टाइम उन लोगों को लग सकता है टेक डोमेन को से जो नॉन आईटी बैकग्राउंड से बिलोंग करते हैं. बट जब आपको चीजें समझ में आएंगी तो आपको एक्चुअल एक्सपीरियंस मिलेगा कि इंडस्ट्री में काम कैसे हो, along with the knowledge. And ये जो lectures हैं, live lectures, this will happen in evening time, that is from evening 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. 3 to 4 days a week. ठीक है. And these are interactive lectures on the same platform जिस पे अभी हमारा ये session हो रहा है. And if you have any doubt queries, you can ask on the real time and सारी चीजें हैं. And we have a batch only of 35 to 40 students, so वो आपको confusion नहीं होता है, mashup नहीं होता है ना. And ये जो लेक्चर्स हैं इनकी रिकॉर्डिंग्स भी आपको लाइफ टाइम एक्सेस के साथ मिलती हैं. सो इफ यू मिस एनी लेक्चर, इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू अटेंड एनी लेक्चर, नॉट टू वरी, you'll be getting that recording. You can study from there also. So this is the primary mode of learning. Secondary mode of learning is the self-paced learning mode, where you'll be getting the pre-recorded content access from the previous batches, जिसको आप अपनी स्पीड से पढ़ सकते हैं. So the people who are very weak and want to gain the knowledge, so they can put some additional effort, जो कि लाइव लेक्चर्स के पहले प्री रिकॉर्डेड कंटेंट से पढ़ के और फिर लाइव लेक्चर्स में जाएंगे तो ज्यादा हेल्प मिलती है. सो दैट इज माय थॉट, जो कि मैं अपने कैंडिडेट्स को हमेशा बोलता हूँ और उनको बेनिफिट भी मिलता है. एंड ऑब्वियसली चीज, अगर हम पढ़ रहे हैं, जब लेक्चर्स नहीं हो रहे हैं तो हमारे डाउट्स भी आएंगे. तो फॉर दैट वी हैव अ लाइव सपोर्ट पैनल एक्सेस from morning 12 to evening 8, Monday to Friday, where the subject matter experts are available for a doubt clarity on one-on-one basis. And इस तरीके से आपकी पढ़ाई होती है. This is how you study all. Now the second most important part जिसपे हमें सबसे ज्यादा फोकस करना है, that is the practice part. As I said, Kriti also to focus on that. So प्रैक्टिस के लिए आपको टॉपिक वाइज क्विजेस, असाइनमेंट्स एंड कॉम्पिटेंसी चैलेंजेस मिलेंगे. एंड दीज आर इंडस्ट्री रेलेवेंट प्रैक्टिस थिंग्स, जो कि बेस्ड होते हैं इंटरव्यू में पूछे गए क्वेश्चंस पे. तो इससे आपको एक्चुअल इंडस्ट्रियल एक्सपोजर मिलेगा. इसके साथ में आपके प्रोजेक्ट्स होंगे विद द रियल डेटा फ्रॉम द कंपनीज लाइक नेटफ्लिक्स, जोमैटो एंड ऑल. सो उसका एक्सपीरियंस भी आपकी प्रोफाइल में ऐड होता है, हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस टू. So this is the structure what we follow to train you, to make you competent according to the industry. So now let's see the dashboard and explore everything, that how it looks like, how we can gain the knowledge. So this is the dashboard, and here the first section is home section, जो कि common होता है सभी चीजों के लिए, and everything is available in the home section. Let's see the first section, that is learn section. ठीक है. So learn section is actually the pre-recorded वाला content वाला part, where you will be getting the pre-recording. So as you can see in the certification program, I can see the details as 6 months, 6 modules. Module 1 is introduction to computer programming, Python control flow, means 2 chapter, then an assessment, then a chapter, then revision, then end course assessment, then a project. इस तरीके से आपका पूरा वर्क होगा, एंड इसी स्ट्रक्चर के अकॉर्डिंग आपके लाइव लेक्चर्स भी लगेंगे. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ इट इज गोइंग टू बी. इंट्रोडक्शन टू मशीन लर्निंग तक अब देखते हैं कि प्री रिकॉर्डिंग कैसे अवेलेबल होता है. सो लेट्स सी डेटा टाइप्स इन पाइथन. So I'll be clicking here data types in Python. I can see different activities available here. First is concept, second is video, third is code, and fourth is quiz. So the first part, that is the concept wala part. Just a second guys, it is taking quite long time to capture. So yeah, ये जो फर्स्ट पार्ट है कॉन्सेप्ट वाला, दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द थ्योरी पार्ट, कि क्या क्या चीजें होती हैं, कैसे कैसे डेटा टाइप्स होते हैं, एवरीथिंग लाइक हाउ वी कैन एग्जीक्यूट दैट पार्ट, उसके लिए कोडिंग कैसे करना है, क्वेश्चंस आंसर्स, एवरीथिंग इज अवेलेबल. ठीक है. तो जिन लोगों को बुक से पढ़ना अच्छा लगता है या खुद से पढ़ना अच्छा लगता है, सो यू कैन, इट कैन बी वेरी हेल्पफुल फॉर यू गाइस. एंड इसके बाद में अगर हमें इसका वीडियो देखना है, इफ यू वांट टू लर्न ऑल दिस थिंग्स थ्रू अ वीडियो, so हम लोग वीडियो वाले पार्ट में आके हम प्री रिकॉर्डेड वीडियोस का अवेलेबल, वी कैन सी दैट वीडियो एंड वी कैन लर्न दैट. अब पढ़ाई होने के बाद में एज आई सेड कि प्रैक्टिस बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, तो उसके लिए आपके पास में कोडिंग असिस्टेंट्स हैं, प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस हैं, यू कैन टेक हेल्प from these questions, and इसके बाद में जब ये भी प्रैक्टिस हो जाता है तब आपका क्विज होगा, जिसके थ्रू आप अपने नॉलेज को चेक कर पाओगे कि क्या मैंने जो पढ़ा है वो मुझे क्लियर हो चुका है या नहीं हो चुका। So this is the learn section, guys. Is it clear, guys? Can I get some thumbs up? Reactions की learn section कैसे work करता है? The pre-recorded part. It is clear to only one person or to everyone? Okay, good. So let's move back and let's see the classroom section, the primary mode of learning. That is the live lectures part. So here you can say upcoming, I can see the upcoming lecture. So I have the next class scheduled on 9th of July. That is on Monday. That is on Tuesday, right? So with Arnav, and it is about continuous probability distribution. I can add it to calendar, and जैसे ही ये class active होगा, I can click on this join class and I'll be reaching into the class directly. इसके बाद में इन लाइव क्लासेस के रिकॉर्डिंग्स भी मैंने बोला आपके पास अवेलेबल होंगे, सो आई कैन क्लिक ऑन दिस कंप्लीटेड पार्ट वेयर आई कैन सी द रिकॉर्डिंग्स अवेलेबल। और केवल रिकॉर्डिंग्स नहीं है, उस क्लास में जो भी हैंडआउट्स यूज हुए हैं, लाइक द लिंक्स, गूगल कोलैब लिंक्स, जो प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस हैं, एवरीथिंग विल बी अवेलेबल हियर व्हिच यू कैन यूज फॉर योर प्रॉपर रिवीजन पर्पस। Okay, guys. So this is the classroom section where you can learn from the live lectures and recordings of live lectures. Now, as I said, there is a help support also. अभी क्योंकि आज सैटरडे तो एक्टिव नहीं होगा, बट आई कैन शो यू ये हेल्प का जो सेक्शन है, इस पे जब मैं क्लिक करूंगा, so I can see that live support वाला पार्ट. Here I can click on that live support. And live support में क्लिक करने के बाद में I will be landing to this page, which is again of Airmate. Here the subject matter experts are available always. जो मैंने आपको टाइम बताया उस पे. Okay. And here you can see different tables are available. Okay, so the discussions are going on like this. Teaching assistant. Okay. So इस तरीके से आपका one-on-one doubt discussion होता है with the teachers. Video, audio दोनों मोड पे. You can see video and audio both are enabled. You can share your screen also and everything is available. Okay. So this is how we help you for the doubt clarity. यहाँ तक की सारी चीजें क्लियर है guys. Okay, Santu, what if I was unable to answer the quiz? No problem, you'll be getting multiple attempts. If you are studying, you'll be getting multiple attempts, and उसको करेक्ट करने के लिए भी आपको बहुत सारे सॉल्यूशंस मिलेंगे, हिंट्स मिलेंगे कि हमसे क्या गलती हुई है. जब हम नेक्स्ट अटेम्प्ट करेंगे तो फिर उसको क्वालिफाई कर सकते हैं. Okay, so you can practice accordingly. Labs are also included, or coding is to be done in the installed environment. So Pradesh, different libraries are there through which you can download the software. I hope you know about it. So we'll be helping you that how to download that and how to use that. Okay, so that will be helping you. So this is the part, brothers, and like all the people in the session. Now let's move ahead कि आपको लर्न सेक्शन में और क्लासरूम में, मतलब क्लासेस में प्रैक्टिस तो होगी, लेकिन अगर हमारा दिल और करना चाहता है प्रैक्टिस, सो नो, नॉट टू वरी. प्रैक्टिस सेक्शन में आप आके एडिशनल प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस के थ्रू अपनी प्रैक्टिस को कर सकते हैं, ठीक है, जिससे आपका और हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस बढ़ेगा. सो हियर वी कैन सी वन थिंग कि अगर हम किसी भी क्वेश्चन पे जाते हैं तो वहां पे इंडस्ट्री का नाम लिखा हुआ है, किसके क्वेश्चन में वो चीजें पूछे गई हैं. सो इसको हम कंपनी वाइज भी देख सकते हैं कि अगर किसी कंपनी में हमारा एस्पिरेशन है कि हम इस कंपनी में काम करना चाहते हैं, उसके अकॉर्डिंग हम अपने क्वेश्चंस के थ्रू, इन क्विजेस के थ्रू अपनी प्रैक्टिस अभी से स्टार्ट कर सकते हैं टॉपिक वाइज. सो दिस इज एडिशनल प्रैक्टिस. वो जो टॉपिक वाइज होगा वो तो होगा ही होगा, बट दिस इज फॉर योर एडिशनल नॉलेज. Here you will be getting everything: coding problems, supplementary courses. Supplementary courses are additional courses to improve your basic skills. ठीक है, coding assessment, quiz assessments, everything will be available here. Now there is one more section, that is the project part. So project भी ऐसा ही है कि जो वहां पे projects होंगे वो तो होंगे होंगे, इसके साथ में additional projects के लिए you can come to the projects parts. Let's open one of the project की मुझे Zomato का project करना है, so I can click on start now. Here is the whole description of the project. क्या एक्चुअली हमें करना है, इसका आर्किटेक्चर क्या होगा, कौन कौन से एल्गोरिथम्स हमें यूज करने हैं, ये है. इसके बाद में इसका इवैल्यूएशन कैसे होगा, ठीक है, किस चीज के मुझे कितने मार्क्स मिलेंगे. हियर यू विल बी गेटिंग द डेटा सेट लिंक. आप इस पर क्लिक करें, टेम्पलेट आपको पता चल जाएगा, प्रेजेंटेशन वीडियो की गाइडलाइंस क्या होनी चाहिए वो आपको पता चल जाएंगी. एंड इसके लिए सैम्पल प्रेजेंटेशन वीडियो हम देख के फिर अपना प्रोजेक्ट बना के, इस तरीके से एक वीडियो बना के एंड देन चेकलिस्ट चेक करके सबमिट कर सकते हैं प्रोजेक्ट को, जिसके लिए भी आपको मल्टीपल अटेम्प्ट्स मिलते हैं। ओके गाइस, सो दिस इज द प्रैक्टिस एंड स्टडी पार्ट। आई होप जो मैंने चीजें बताई थी स्ट्रक्चर के बारे में वो सबको क्लियर हो चुकी है। इज इट क्लियर गाइस? ओके cool. लेट्स मूव अहेड एंड लेट्स सी द नेक्स्ट थिंग कि जब आपका ये पूरा प्रोग्राम कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तो प्लेसमेंट कैसे होगा। प्रैक्टिस अगेन। ओके, so Aarti, practice is the part where you'll be getting additional content, है ना? First you'll be getting the content in the learn section topic wise, that is the pre-recorded part. Classroom, when the classes are happening, there will be several practice things which will be provided to you. But if you want to practice more with more quizzes and assignments, you can come to this practice part where the questions are mentioned here, where I can click on the question, and also I can see that in which company the questions were asked during the interview. So I can click here. यहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं, सिमिलरली एज दैट वी हैव सीन, राइट? जो लर्न सेक्शन में हम लोगों ने देखे, इस तरीके से हम अपनी प्रैक्टिस को और स्ट्रॉन्ग कर सकते हैं। दिस इज द प्रैक्टिस पार्ट। ओके, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द करियर पार्ट। कि करियर मतलब कि जब आपका पूरा प्रोग्राम कंप्लीट हो जाएगा, दिस प्रोग्राम इज नोन एज फाउंडेशन ट्रैक, व्हेन यू कंप्लीट दिस फाउंडेशन ट्रैक, then you'll be getting a chance to give AB CAT test. अब AB CAT test क्या होता है? AlmaBetter Comprehensive Assessment Test। भाई अगर प्लेसमेंट गारंटी देनी है तो चेक तो करना पड़ेगा ना कि आपने सही में पढ़ाई की है कि नहीं। दिस टेस्ट इज जस्ट टू चेक दैट। Okay, so if you look into the details of this test, so the minimum qualification score required is 60% marks, where you'll be getting 5 attempts to qualify. अगर हम क्वेश्चंस के लेवल की बात करें, 70% इजी लेवल क्वेश्चन होंगे, 20% मीडियम लेवल और केवल 10% टफ लेवल क्वेश्चंस होंगे। एंड हर अटेम्प्ट के बीच में 7 to 10 वर्किंग डेज का गैप होगा टू प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ फॉर द नेक्स्ट अटेम्प्ट। सो यू कैन इजीली क्वालिफाई दिस टेस्ट अगर आप प्रॉपर्ली स्टडी करते हैं। ओके गाइस, तो जब आप ये एबी कैट टेस्ट देते हैं, देन जब आप ये क्वालिफाई कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद में आपकी प्लेसमेंट गारंटी के लिए वी आस्क यू टू साइन द इनकम शेयर एग्रीमेंट, where it is clearly mentioned that the career services fees will be charged after the placements only if you get any package above 5 lakh per annum then. And वो ISA साइन होने के बाद में then we start a placement training जिसका नाम है Alma X. So placement training Alma X, क्योंकि मैंने अभी जैसे बताया कि कई सारे इंस्टीट्यूट है but that are not focusing on the industrial requirement. So Alma X is to make you competent according to the placements, according to the interviews. So उसके लिए हम आपको resume building, LinkedIn profile optimization and different types of communication skills की detailed आपको training provide करते हैं from the industry experts, and 50 plus आपके mock interviews होते हैं अलग अलग rounds के according, और एक पर्सनल मेंटोर असाइन किए जाते हैं आपके असिस्टेंट्स के लिए। एंड ड्यूरेशन ऑफ एल्मा एक्स इज फॉर अराउंड 1.5 months to 2 months। एंड मीनवाइल जब आप ये एल्मा एक्स ट्रेनिंग ले रहे होंगे, उसी टाइम पे एल्मा बेटर की एक टीम आपकी प्रोफाइल के अकॉर्डिंग आपके रेज्यूमे को सर्कुलेट करना चालू करेगी हमारे रिक्रूटमेंट पार्टनर्स के पास में, जो कि फिलहाल 700 से ज्यादा हैं। So we'll be scheduling interviews for you, we'll be making you competent according to the interviews, आपके mock interviews वगैरह करवाते हुए, and then we make you sit for the interviews, and there are multiple opportunities exist। ऐसा नहीं है कि केवल एक ही इंटरव्यू कराएंगे, दो ही कराएंगे, ऐसा नहीं होगा। Because we asked you to sign the agreement, now we are binded कि हमें आपको प्लेसमेंट दिलाना है, तभी हमें हमारा करियर सर्विसेज फीस मिलेगा। So we work accordingly। ठीक है गाइस, क्लियर हुआ कैसे आपको प्लेसमेंट तक लेके जाते हैं हम लोग, फ्रॉम स्टडी टू द प्लेसमेंट जर्नी। Okay, so the career percentage part means AB CAT। Okay, so when you complete the foundation track, when you complete the studies, then you have to give the AB CAT test, where you'll be getting 5 attempts to qualify, and the qualification score is only 60% marks। Okay, and if we talk about the level of questions, it is 70% easy level questions, 20% medium level questions, and only 10% tough level questions. So you can easily qualify that. And after qualifying this test, you have to sign the income share agreement, and then after signing the income share agreement, the placement training will take place, that is Alma X, and then the placements। Is it clear, Santu? And to everyone, is it clear, guys? Okay, cool. Okay, cool, cool. So this is the overall thing. Now let's talk about some freebies and additional thing. First is mentorship. So mentorship is something which will additionally help you to gain more confidence and knowledge. So अगर मुझे resume building में problem आ रही है, I need a special guidance, I'll be coming here. I'll be clicking on resume guidance. I'll be booking a session with industry expert according to my availability, and I'll be discussing with them on one-on-one basis so that I can get more clarity about the resume, how to prepare it. Okay, this is the first freebie. Second freebie is job board. तो जॉब बोर्ड हम लोगों ने डेवलप इसलिए किया बिकॉज वी सॉ थिंग कि कैंडिडेट्स आज के टाइम पे बहुत परेशान होते हैं, लाइक डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म से जॉब ओपनिंग देखते हैं जहाँ पे बहुत सारे कंफ्यूजन हो जाते हैं उन लोगों को. So what we did, we filtered all those jobs regularly. We filter that and we keep posting them here. जो भी प्लेटफॉर्म पे रिलेटेड फील्ड्स के जॉब रोल्स अवेलेबल होते हैं, वी कीप पोस्टिंग हियर. लेट्स सी एन एग्जांपल दैट आई नीड अ रिमोट जॉब रोल, रिमोट जॉब इनटू डेटा साइंस डोमेन विद अ परमानेंट जॉब. ओके, इंटर्नशिप वालों के लिए इंटर्नशिप्स भी अवेलेबल. आई कैन सी हियर, सी बिजनेस एनालिस्ट की जरूरत है, आईटी बिजनेस एनालिस्ट की जरूरत है, प्रोग्रामर और डेटा एनालिस्ट की जरूरत है, डेटा साइंस ग्रेजुएट की जरूरत है, डेटा एनालिस्ट रिमोट रोल की जरूरत है. सो I can see the job description and I can directly apply for here and it is free of cost for everyone. ठीक है guys, so ये एक और freebie है and this is the certification program. I hope it is clear to everyone. ठीक है. So now let's move ahead and let's see the master's degree program also available. So master's degree program is a really special program. Why I'm saying really special program, because it will provide you a master's degree from Wolf University, England for the data science. Okay, so master's degree अगर आपके पास है, प्लस आपके पास में टेक डोमेन का प्रॉपर नॉलेज है, एंड अगर आपके पास में एक प्रॉपर सर्टिफिकेशन है साथ में और एडवांस नॉलेज के साथ में, सो योर ग्रोथ इज 100% कंफर्म. ठीक है. So if you talk about this master's degree program, so foundation track is common as that of the certification program. इसके अलावा इसमें हम एडिशनल चीजें भी पढ़ेंगे from the specialization track, like productization of ML systems, ML advanced machine learning, distributed machine learning, introduction to deep learning of computer vision, deep learning with NLP programming, यानी कि advanced technology related to data science हम specialization track में पढ़ते हैं. And the third is industry immersion track. So actually it is a thesis project required according to the master's degree. Okay guys, so along with the certification you'll be getting a master's degree also in the master's degree program, and the duration of this program is for about 12 to 13 months. And इसमें दो options मिलते हैं, that first you can sit for the placement after the foundation track, or the second option is you can complete the program, take the degree and then sit for the placements. Both are open for you. वो आपके according कि आप कौन सा ऑप्ट आउट करना चाहते हैं. एंड एज इट इज फ्रॉम यूरोपियन यूनिवर्सिटी, दैट इज वुल्फ यूनिवर्सिटी. सो ये क्रेडिट बेस्ड सिस्टम होता है यूरोपियन कंट्रीज का. सो इसके लिए आपको फाउंडेशन ट्रैक के लिए 30 क्रेडिट पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं एंड स्पेशलाइजेशन ट्रैक के लिए 30 क्रेडिट पॉइंट्स मिलते हैं. सो ओवरऑल व्हेन यू गेन दैट 60 क्रेडिट पॉइंट्स यू विल बी गेटिंग द मास्टर्स डिग्री. ओके, एंड इसके लिए हमें वहां पे जाना भी नहीं पड़ेगा, सिंपली इसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमें सारी चीजें मिल जाएंगी. सो द क्लासरूम सेक्शन इज सेम, लर्न सेक्शन इज सेम, everything is same. The difference is in the curriculum as well as the weightage of the thing. Is it clear guys? Master's degree program में और कोई डाउट है आपके? Okay, it is clear. Anyone having doubt? Okay, cool. Then if it is clear, then it is very nice. So let's move ahead and let's see the fee structure now. I think so. Work from home possible है क्या data science course में? Ati, it is possible, but it is not 100% guaranteed that you'll be getting work from home only. Why am I saying that? Because many of the companies have started calling the people to office. Okay, So it completely depends on the company कि वो क्या चाहते हैं. Okay, so but I can suggest you one thing कि अगर आपको कोई एक अच्छा अगर आपको एक पैकेज ऑफर किया जा रहा है अच्छी कंपनी से, एंड if the company is asking you to relocate, then you should go for it, because अच्छी opportunities बार बार नहीं मिलती हैं. So in spite of going for any location preference, you can go for a good company and good offer. That is my personal suggestion. Yeah, Prakash, I'll be explaining both the fee structure now. Yeah, others you can possess the course, you can pursue the course, but the placement guarantee will be provided after your graduation only. Okay, so you can start the course now, you can start learning, you can apply for several internships available in the market, but if you want a placement guarantee, that will be provided after the graduation. If we talk about the certification program, you are eligible for that, and in the certification program you'll be getting the placement guarantee through the ABCAT test and the that ISA agreement that will be asking you to sign after the graduation. Before that, you can gain the certification, you can apply for certain internships, and I can say that many of the candidates who are not who are currently pursuing their graduation, they are doing certain internships in data science domain, and they are earning like 40-50,000 per month also in some of the companies, even as an intern. Yes, you can go for it. Okay, guys, so I think there is no doubt left, so let's move ahead and let's see the fee structure. So first, let's discuss about the certification program. Then we'll be discussing about the master's degree program. So if we look into the thing, clearly mentioned है, दो models हैं यहाँ पे available. First is the iconic program, second is the premium program. थोड़ा सा मैं वापस से इसको कैटेगराइज कर देता हूँ. प्रीमियम प्रोग्राम जो कि हमारा बेसिक प्रोग्राम है, एंड प्रीमियम प्रोग्राम में आपको सर्विसेज सारी मिलती है जो मैंने भी आपको बताई हैं, इसी तरीके से फॉलो होगा, लेकिन इसमें सर्टिफिकेशन आपको सिर्फ एल्मा बेटर का मिलता है. Whereas if we talk about the iconic program, so iconic program you'll be getting additional master classes from IIT Guwahati professors, a chance to visit IIT Guwahati campus for 2 days under the immersion program, and the most valuable part which will help you a lot guys अब इस फील्ड में अच्छे प्लेसमेंट ऑफर्स के प्रेफरेंस के लिए, दैट इज द डुअल सर्टिफिकेशन. यानी कि आपको एल्मा बेटर के साथ साथ आईआईटी गुवाहाटी से भी सर्टिफिकेशन मिलेगा, which will help you a lot to get more preferences for the job in the good companies as well. Okay, so these are the two programs in the certification model. So if you talk about the premium model, उसके पहले बता दूं कि जो ट्यूशन फीस वाला पार्ट होता है, दैट इज चार्ज एट द टाइम ऑफ एडमिशन इन द सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम, एंड द करियर सर्विसेज फीस इज चार्ज आफ्टर द प्लेसमेंट अकॉर्डिंग टू आईएसए. तो इसके लिए जो प्रीमियम प्रोग्राम है, जो बेसिक वाला है, इसके लिए जो ट्यूशन फीस अवेलेबल है दैट इज 30,000 प्लस जीएसटी मींस 35,400, एंड इसके लिए जो करियर सर्विसेज फीस है दैट इज 2,40,000 which will be charged as 10,000 rupees per month for 24 months, जब आपकी सैलरी आना चालू हो जाएगी तब से, एंड अगर आपका पैकेज 5 लाख पर एनम के ऊपर कुछ रहेगा. Next is iconic program, which is IIT Guwahati program. For this, the tuition fees when you enroll is 60,000 plus GST means 70,800, and इसके लिए जो career services fees है that is only 1,50,000. सेम ये भी 10,000 रुपीज पर मंथ करके चार्ज होगा 15 मंथ्स तक, जब आपकी सैलरी आना चालू होगी तब से, अगर आपका पैकेज 5 लाख पर एनम के ऊपर कुछ भी लगता है. So is it clear guys for the certification program? The fee structure is clear or not? Yes, no, any reactions? Okay. It is clear to only one person all the time. Why? Yes, Antu, please go ahead. Please ask what is the confusion about. Yes, Antu, the career services fees will be charged after the placements for both the programs, and the tuition fees is charged at the time of admission. ओके, सो व्हेन यू एनरोल इनटू द प्रोग्राम, जब आप एडमिशन लेते हैं तब आपको ट्यूशन फीस पे करनी है. जब आपका प्लेसमेंट हो जाएगा, अगर आपका पैकेज 5 लाख पर एनम के ऊपर होगा, तब फिर आपसे 10,000 करके करियर सर्विसेज फीस चार्ज होगी. इज इट क्लियर? Then what about Sandu? If it is not that, okay, let's do one thing, Sandu. I'll be mentioning my contact number. Yeah, actually, we have certain like availability from IIT Guwahati. They have a fund, several fund. So from that fund, we have certain fees discounts and all the things. So उसके कारण आइकॉनिक प्रोग्राम का फी स्ट्रक्चर कम है. एंड ऑल्सो वी बिलीव दैट कि अगर आपके पास आईआईटी गुवाहाटी का सर्टिफिकेशन है, इट रिक्वायर्स लेस एफर्ट्स टू गेट यू प्लेस्ड. सो उसके अकॉर्डिंग आइकॉनिक प्रोग्राम की ओवरऑल फीस कम है. ओके, इज इट क्लियर नाउ Sandu? When are we considered eligible for the placement, or when we are considered as graduates on completion of learning modules or other criteria also? Pratyush, as I explained that you have to qualify the AB CAT test. So once you complete the program and take the certifications, then you have to qualify the AB CAT test. And वो qualify करने के बाद में, then only you can sign the income share agreement and enter into the LMAX or the placement. Okay. अब ये इतना जरूरी क्यों हो गया ना एबी कैट टेस्ट प्रत्युष? बिकॉज what happened ना कि कुछ कैंडिडेट्स थोड़ा सा अपना दिमाग का इस्तेमाल थोड़ा सा ज्यादा किया था. And they took help from their friends to complete the projects. They never studied, and they were asking for the placements. Then we thought that we should be quite strict in that matter, so we started that IB-CAT test where we can identify कि actually में student ने पढ़ाई किया है कि नहीं किया है. Okay. Sushant, if you want to pay the whole instead of EMI basis after the placement, is it possible? Yeah, the career services piece depends on you. If you want to pay the whole amount at a one time, you can go ahead. But tuition fees आपका starting में है, and career services after the placement. Okay. So now let's move ahead and let's see the fee structure for the master's degree program also. So this is the master's degree program fee structure where you can see it is a prepaid program जहाँ पे आपका जो entire fees है that is 2,80,000 plus GST means 3,30,000 rupees. ये आपको पहले पे करना होता है. या तो आप वन टाइम में कर सकते हैं या फिर आप फाइनेंस करा सकते हैं इसके लिए. एंड इन दिस सर्टिफिकेशन इज ऑफ आईआईटी गुवाहाटी, मतलब आइकॉनिक वाला सर्टिफिकेशन होगा प्लस वुल्फ यूनिवर्सिटी वाला प्लान होगा. इसमें भी आपको प्लेसमेंट गारंटी मिलेगी. Okay, so this is how it goes on. तो ये फी स्ट्रक्चर है मास्टर्स डिग्री प्रोग्राम का गाइस. आई होप इट इज क्लियर टू एवरीवन. ओके, अब दोनों प्रोग्राम का फी स्ट्रक्चर क्लियर है गाइस आप लोगों के सामने. ना जो ट्यूशन फीस मैंने आप लोगों को बताया उसके लिए भी फाइनेंस अवेलेबल है, नो कॉस्ट ईएमआईज अवेलेबल है. इफ यू वांट टू गाइस गो फॉर इफ यू वांट टू गो फॉर द ईएमआईज आइदर यूजिंग क्रेडिट कार्ड or any finance partner's help. So we have several options available through which you can convert the tuition fees or the fees of the master's program into EMIs, जिसके लिए आइकॉनिक प्रोग्राम को हम 12 मंथ्स की EMIs में कर सकते हैं, एंड प्रीमियम प्रोग्राम के लिए हम लोग 6 मंथ्स की EMIs कर सकते हैं. एंड फॉर द मास्टर्स डिग्री प्रोग्राम we have in fact the EMIs plan for up to 30 months. So you guys can easily go for that. And I think कि कई सारे लोगों के पास में अभी किसी भी काउंसलर का अप्रोच नहीं हुआ है. So I am just mentioning my number, my mobile number here. So if you guys have any doubt, any question, and if you want to ask me, अगर आप लोगों का किसी काउंसलर से बात नहीं हुआ है, so please reach me out through this contact number on WhatsApp. You can ping me there. जैसे मैं अवेलेबल होता हूँ आप लोगों को कॉन्टैक्ट करूंगा. एंड जिन लोगों का अभी तक किसी काउंसलर से बात नहीं हुआ है, so I'll be calling you guys personally and will be guiding you for it. Now, as I said, there is going to be a surprise for everyone. So we have the next batch starting from 9th of July. So I have a pool of some discounts as a scholarship available without any examination. Direct scholarships available. So जिन लोगों का काउंसलर से बात हुआ, यू कैन आस्क फॉर दैट पूल और दैट फॉर दैट स्कॉलरशिप डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम द काउंसलर. जिनका नहीं हुआ है, यू कैन पिन मी ऑन व्हाट्सएप. I will be helping you guys with that pool of scholarship on the tuition fees or on the fees of master's degree program. Also, जिन लोग को मास्टर्स डिग्री प्रोग्राम में इंटरेस्ट है एंड उसमें एक स्कॉलरशिप चाहते हैं, फॉर दोज पीपल आज शाम को 7 बजे का टाइम है डेडलाइन, जिसमें आप यूरो स्कॉलरशिप टेस्ट के लिए अप्लाई कर सकते हो टू गेट अ स्कॉलरशिप ऑन द फीस ऑफ मास्टर्स डिग्री प्रोग्राम. तो अगर आप मास्टर्स डिग्री प्रोग्राम में इंटरेस्टेड हैं और अगर आप करना चाहते हैं, यू कैन गो अहेड एंड यू कैन रजिस्टर योरसेल्फ फॉर द यूरो स्कॉलरशिप टेस्ट. एंड जो लोग सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम में इंटरेस्टेड है, so you can ping me on WhatsApp so that I can help you with that special discounts for the people who joined this session and gave their time. Okay, guys. So now, do you have any kind of queries or questions, concern? Please, 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 please tell me. आई होप कि अब समझ में आ गया है कि अगर हम सही तरीके से सही गाइडेंस के साथ पढ़ेंगे, so really we can reach to the ultimate goal, that is a placement in a good company with a good approach. And इसके लिए मैंने आपको यहाँ पे भी ये बहुत सारी चीजें ऐसी नहीं बताई हैं जो डिफरेंट प्लेटफॉर्म से आप लोग को शायद बात करके बताई जाती हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि मैं चाहता हूँ आप लोग खुद से लिंक्डइन पे जाएं, आल्मा बेटर के लिंक्डइन पेज को चेक करें, वहां पे आप प्लेसमेंट्स होते हुए खुद देखें, अपने आप. ठीक है, सो दैट इज द बेस्ट थिंग यू कैन डू. एंड कोरा पे और यूट्यूब पे कुछ यूट्यूबर्स हैं, सो उन पे प्लीज ट्रस्ट मत करिए, बिकॉज अगर उन्होंने सही में डेटा साइंस की पढ़ाई करी है और सही तरीके से करी है, सो वो यूट्यूब पे वीडियोस नहीं बना रहे होते आज. ओके गाइस, सो दिस वाज ऑल. इफ यू हैव एनी डाउट्स, आई विल बी वेटिंग फॉर 1 more minute. Please write in the chat box, or else we can wrap up the session. No problem, Santanu. Welcome all the time, and it's my pleasure to have much active audience like you, because आप लोगों के interaction से हमें energy आती है. So if you have doubts, you are discussing continuously, so that keeps us active and that motivates us to provide you more details. Yeah, Arti, we can go ahead for that. For that, I have provided the WhatsApp contact number. You can share me your mail ID here, and then I'll be contacting you and I'll be explaining you about the details, how we can go ahead. Okay? I'll be explaining about the fee structure, का कैसा installment वगैरह होता है. Okay, it seems that no one else is having any doubt, so no problem, guys. अगर आपको still अगर कोई doubt है, कुछ चीजें हैं, so my WhatsApp number is available. You can ping me and you can ask me for that. I have to write about college in WhatsApp. You just have to provide your mail ID on WhatsApp. मैं जैसे अभी available होता हूँ, मेरा एक meeting है, so जैसे available होगा, then I'll be helping you with that. Okay, so just have to ping me on WhatsApp with your mail ID. I'll be helping you. No problem. Okay, guys, so thank you so much, and it was a great session for me also and for everyone, I hope so. And for any doubt or query, please write me down on WhatsApp. We will be there to help you out. And also, the people who already had word with any of the counselor, you can reach them because they might have shared you some details on WhatsApp. So you can reach them, guys, and you can have a conversation with them कि अगर कोई डाउट है तो, अगर नहीं तो मुझसे भी आप कंसल्ट कर सकते हैं. आई एम ऑलवेज अवेलेबल ऑन व्हाट्सएप, गाइस. Thank you so much again for spending your crucial time of weekend here in the session, and meet you soon, guys. Bye bye. Thank you so much.